Chapter 1094. The demonic chi that had been spreading from Tao Lord Divine Crow disappeared at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, it was replaced by wisps of pure demonic chi. His Taoist robe turned golden, and the true sun fire kept coming out of his body. Even the temperament on his face changed in an instant. The aura he exuded was completely different. Whoosh! Opening his eyes, Tao Lord Divine Crow saw Di Shirtian in front of him at a glance. His eyes were filled with surprise and joy. He hurriedly said, "Demon Emperor, hurry up and leave the ancient tomb. The heartless Demon Emperor in my body can't do anything to me. I can hold on. As long as these 9 chains are not broken, even if the heartless Demon Emperor really occupies my body, he can't escape. Hurry up and find the tomb of the God of Sin. The heartless Demon Emperor's goal is the tomb of the God of Sin." After seeing Di Shirtian, Tao Lord Divine Crow said loudly without hesitation, "What?" When Di Shirtian saw the change in Tao Lord Divine Crow's aura, he already had a hunch that his body was not completely occupied by the heartless Demon Emperor. However, they should be in a situation where they were evenly matched. Just now, the heartless Demon Emperor had suppressed Tao Lord Divine Crow. After accumulating for a while, he turned the situation around again. However, he vaguely did not understand his words. He said that the heartless Demon Emperor's goal was the tomb of the God of Sin. However, even if his goal was the tomb of the God of Sin, his demonic soul was now trapped in Tao Lord Divine Crow's body. Even if he wanted to, he might not have the strength. But his hurried words made Sakra's heart uncontrollably filled with doubts. The heartless Demon Emperor knows the soul-splitting technique. What's in my body now is only half of his demonic soul. The other half has been hiding in the land of chaos since ancient times, waiting for an opportunity to find the tomb of the God of Sin. His demonic body was broken back then, but it was just a secret technique. This demon is very scheming. He doesn't have one demonic body, but another. His original body is not an ordinary hollow willow, but a twin hollow willow that was born in the chaos. As long as one of them is not destroyed, the other will not be destroyed. When the two are combined, he is a supreme half-demon ancestor. He hid it from the demon god continent, from the origin world, and from myriad calamity ancestor. He wanted to secretly obtain the divine tomb and become the demon ancestor. Above the heavens and earth. Tao Lord Divine Crow said hurriedly. A scheme. A shocking conspiracy. The heartless Demon Emperor wasn't a peak Demon Emperor, but a half-step demon ancestor. Moreover, in order to ascend to the demon ancestor realm, he had secretly infiltrated the Bedlam lands to search for the divine tomb and fight against myriad calamity ancestor. His body had been shattered to pieces in order to cover up his actions, in order to have enough time and environment to search for traces of the tomb of the God of Sin. The tomb of the gods. His schemes were deep and his calculations were far. It was simply outrageous. His forbearance was especially frightening. Gemini Hollow Willow? Di Shirtian sucked in a breath of cold air in his heart, and a threatening light shot out from his eyes. Just as he was about to ask again, he saw that the aura on Tao Lord Divine Crow's body changed again. Streaks of black demonic runes quickly spread across his face, giving him a sinister look. TSK, Tao Lord Divine Crow, Demon Emperor, even if you know my plan now, it's too late to stop it now. The divine tomb is destined to be mine. With my foundation, as long as I get the divine tomb, I will be the supreme demon ancestor in the world. At that time, you, Demon Emperor, will be just an ant that I can kill with a finger. The heartless Demon Emperor laughed strangely. In his laughter, there was an extremely proud and excited aura. However, after saying this, the demonic patterns on his face disappeared again. Demon Emperor, go quickly. The heartless Demon Emperor has found the location of the divine tomb and temporarily restrained it with a demonic formation. The location is in the direction of Myriad Calamity Ancestors' cave residence. Go quickly. Otherwise, once the heartless demon emperor is recognized by the divine tomb, the demon god continent will have another terrifying expert. Here, I can still keep him in check. Tao Lord Divine Crow urged him to leave quickly again. Crazy demon emperor, hurry. The divine tomb must not be obtained by the heartless demon emperor. If you can get it, there will be endless benefits. You might even have a chance to break through the ancient demon god and become a ruler. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Dark immediately thought of the opportunity within. If he could get this opportunity, the benefits would really be boundless. The great Tao of heaven and earth follows my orders. Anyone who goes against me will be judged. Those who are kind to me will be protected and blessed. All evil will be purified and sealed. Looking at the difficult expression on Tao Lord Divine Crow's face, Sakura opened his mouth and said without even thinking, "Rumble!" In the divine tomb, countless mysterious forces surged out like a tide. Pure sealing power appeared in the void and turned into seal runes that quickly drilled into Tao Lord Divine Crow's body. At the same time, the power of will formed a blessing power that protected him as if countless gods were guarding him. At the same time, all kinds of forces emerged and turned into seals that continuously drilled into Tao Lord Divine Crow's body. They weaved a large net at an astonishing speed to protect Tao Lord Divine Crow's mind. Don't worry, Tao Lord Divine Crow. With me here, it will be very difficult for the heartless demon emperor to get the divine tomb. Di Shirtian nodded at Tao Lord Divine Crow with a serious expression and said, "When I'm done with the divine tomb, I will help you completely suppress the heartless demon emperor. A mere demonic soul, no matter how strong it is, won't be able to run rampant in front of me." His words were filled with boundless dominance. With that, he turned around and flew out of the divine tomb without hesitation. Divine tomb! Di Shirtian left the mountain of flames. Without any hesitation, he quickly shuttled toward the location of the Myriad Tribulations cave abode. However, on the way, he also concealed himself and did not leave any traces. Riding on the Emperor Divine Light, he soon appeared in front of the Myriad Tribulations cave abode. At the same time, a large group of cultivators also appeared in front of him. In front of him was a vast and strange area. Countless strange green fog shrouded a large area out of nowhere. The fog covered an extremely vast area and seemed to have no end at a glance. It seemed to be filled with endless mysteries. Vaguely, it was like an endless sea. And in this mysterious sea of fog, an ancient divine tomb stood quietly in the middle of the sea of fog. It was as if it was bound by something and remained motionless. It seemed that the scene in front of him was somewhat indescribably strange. Outside the sea of green fog, cultivators could be seen in groups of 3 to 5 or scattered all over the place by themselves. From the looks in their eyes, it was clear that they were quite wary of other cultivators. There were hundreds of them, and even the weakest among them was an almighty of the eternal era. Some of the cultivators who faintly exuded pressure seemed to have a terrifying deterrent force outside their bodies, repelling a unique circle. It seemed to be an invisible domain that separated them from the other cultivators. Their faces were dignified without being angry, and the pressure emitted from there will spread in all directions. These people faintly had a temperament that transcended heaven and earth, and they were all peerless powerhouses. However, the number of peerless powerhouses was very small, and there were only 4 of them. One of them attracted Di Shirtian's attention. It was a middle-aged man with a strange aura around him, faintly exuding a demonic aura. This demonic aura was not the demonic aura of the demon god continent with evil aura, but the pure demonic aura of the purple gold continent. This was Di Shirtian's first time seeing a demonic cultivator with his own eyes, and he could not help but take a few more glances. The other 3 were an old man, a middle-aged beautiful woman, and a woman with a veil. None of the cultivators acted rashly in front of this strange sea of fog. Each of them was a mighty figure or above, and the things in their minds were extraordinary. None of them were simple. Humph! You want to keep us out with a mere sea of fog? What a fool's dream! I want to see how terrifying this sea of fog is. An ancient giant who had just arrived saw the sea of green fog in front of him, and his face was filled with determination. A light flashed in his hand, and a tall puppet suddenly appeared in front of him. This puppet was golden in color, and it exuded a valiant aura. There were countless runes on it, and it seemed to have an endless amount of domineering power in its body. Boom, boom, boom! The puppet's eyes shot out a cold light, and it instantly rose into the air, stepping toward the sea of fog step by step. The pressure it exuded was not inferior to that of the ancient giant. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As soon as this puppet appeared, pairs of eyes immediately stared at it, as if they were also observing the scene of the puppet entering the sea of fog. Those who had reached such a cultivation level often attached great importance to their own lives. The stronger they were, the more afraid they were of death. Boom, boom, boom! The puppet directly rushed into the sea of fog. The puppet seemed to have drilled into the sea, and the surroundings were completely filled with green fog. Walking in the sea of fog, there was only a trace of a sticky smell. There were no other accidents, and it seemed that the fog did not have much offensive power. This was a test. Immediately, countless pairs of eyes lit up. Go, as long as we can enter the divine tomb, we can reach the sky in a single bound. What is the so-called genius? I want to be the master. The divine tomb, the infinite treasures in the divine tomb, all of them are mine. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Immediately, the ancient giants who were still hesitating were completely replaced by endless greed and yearning, and they all rushed into the sea of fog on their divine light. As expected of a group of profiteers, their minds have been captivated by the great temptation of the divine tomb. Tiskay, tiskay, this sea of fog must have been made by the heartless demon emperor, and I'm afraid it was specially prepared to imprison the divine tomb. He put in so much effort, so how could he let others take advantage of him? He is courting death. Seeing this, Ming spat out a sentence full of disdain. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1095. Those with tickets, please help me up. Di Shirtian didn't say anything. He just stood quietly in the void and watched the scene below. Those ancient overlords were completely fascinated by the value of the tomb of the god of sin. Nearly 10 of them flew into the air, and quickly rushed into the fog sea. Of course, as they rushed into the fog sea, one could see that they had defensive treasures and powerful defensive divine abilities on themselves. They took out all kinds of treasures in their hands. Rumble! However, the moment they entered the fog sea, they saw the fog sea tumble violently. In less than a blink of an eye, all the cultivators who entered the fog sea suddenly appeared in the depths of the fog sea. At the same time, the protective divine light on those cultivators rapidly melted away at a speed visible to the naked eye. Those defensive treasures couldn't resist the erosion of the fog sea at all. In just a few breaths' time, their bodies began to corrode at a rapid pace. Large pieces of flesh and blood dissipated. Oh no! There's something strange about this fog sea. It can actually devour my body. Our defensive treasures can't resist the erosion of the fog sea. Fight! Fight a way out! All the ancient overlords' expressions changed drastically. Not only were their defensive treasures unable to resist the erosion of the fog sea, but even their protective divine light was swallowed by the fog sea in the blink of an eye. A strong sense of fear emerged in their hearts. Without thinking, they violently bombarded the fog sea with their treasures, trying to fight a way out of the fog sea. Fight a way out. However, the fog sea tumbled violently and swallowed all the attacks. If they took a step out, they would immediately be swept back into the depths of the fog sea. They couldn't escape the fog sea at all. In the blink of an eye, those ancient overlords who had fallen into the fog sea were completely swallowed up, including their primordial spirits. They disappeared in the blink of an eye. The fog sea returned to normal, as if nothing had happened before. Immediately, the many cultivators outside who had yet to enter the sea of fog could not help but gasp on the spot. Traces of shock appeared on their faces. What a terrifying sea of fog! What is this? Could it be some kind of natural disaster in the fringe? 10 eternal overlords actually died so easily in the misty sea. They were sucked into the depths of the misty sea. It's as difficult as ascending to the heavens if they want to come out again. This is simply too terrifying. Danger, there is indeed great danger. No wonder the tomb can temporarily stay inside. What should we do? The tomb is inside. If we don't go in, the tomb will disappear again. I'm afraid it will be very difficult to find such an opportunity in the future. Many cultivators couldn't help but discuss in low voices. There was a faint trace of fear in their hearts towards the fog sea. However, none of them flinched at this moment. The attraction of the divine tomb was too great. The benefits inside were too attractive and too tempting. No one wanted to let go of this opportunity to reach the heavens in a single bound. Everyone was betting on that what if, as expected of a method created by the heartless devil emperor. For those below the level of ancient giants, once they enter, only death awaits them. Sakra's gaze was somewhat deep as he stared at the mysterious divine tomb in the sea of fog. Each of the 9 tombs was different. Even he was a little curious about what was contained in this tomb. There's something strange about this sea of fog. To think that it could easily devour an ancient giant. Even in ancient times, I have never heard of such a tyrannical thing. It's really terrifying. It seems that the heartless demon emperor has been coveting the tomb for a long time. Ming secretly clicked his tongue. Just as Di Shirtian was pondering the scene in front of him. In the heaven realm, the heavenly realm was still filled with dense immortal qi. Countless immortal birds and immortal beasts were flying around freely. Ancient cities were erected in various regions. Countless cultivators were going in and out of the ancient cities. There were many imperial dynasties that ruled the major regions in the heaven realm and divided all the cultivators. The heaven realm was the closest to the purple gold mainland. At the same time, it was also the largest world. It was hundreds or thousands of times larger than the ordinary Great Thousand World. Therefore, the essence qi of heaven and earth that was absorbed from the purple gold mainland was almost endless. It was constantly devouring the essence qi of heaven and earth, which made the essence qi in the purple gold mainland thinner than in the heaven realm. This was the headquarters of the human clan. It was the place where the strongest and largest forces gathered. The power it contained was immeasurable. However, when the annihilation tide arrived, no cultivator dared to stay in any of the worlds. All the worlds would suffer an immeasurable blow. At this moment, in a huge mountain range, there was a palace standing on top of it. This palace naturally exuded a kind of aloof and transcendent aura that would not be shaken by any external forces. There were only 2 guards in the palace. There was a huge incense burner in the palace. There was a strange sandalwood fragrance in the burner, which refreshed the mind. On a purple cattail hassock, there was an old man in a yellow Taoist robe. This old man did not reveal any aura, as if he was just an ordinary Taoist priest. However, there was no expression on his face. He looked like a Taoist priest. He was like a Taoist priest. In front of him, 2 boys, one fat and one skinny, knelt respectfully in front of him. Ancestral Master, the sect just sent news that the tomb of the god of sin in the land of chaos has appeared. It has been confirmed that it is indeed the tomb of the god of sin. We want to ask for your opinion on whether we should intervene in the fight for the tomb of the god of sin. The skinny boy told the story clearly. His voice reverberated in the hall. After the old man heard it, his originally closed eyes slowly opened. There was only an indescribable calmness and indifference in his eyes. It was as if nothing in the world could arouse the slightest emotion in his heart. Go out and tell the sect that I already know about the tomb of the god of sin. The sect cannot intervene in this matter. Continue to do what you did before. The speed of cultivating Tao soldiers must be accelerated to deal with the upcoming calamity. As for the rest, I will make the decision, the old man said slowly. His voice was very unique. It did not have the slightest emotional fluctuation, but it gave people a strange aura that they would never forget after hearing it. Yes, ancestral master. When the two boys heard it, they did not dare to refute at all. They respectfully agreed at the same time. They stood up and walked out of the main hall. The tomb of the god of sin. I did not expect that the tomb of the god of sin, which was rumored to be the least likely to appear, would appear at this time. It is indeed an eventful time. The old man raised his eyes to the void, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. However, with my current cultivation, I am afraid that only the tomb of the god of sin can allow me to advance to that supreme level again. The old man pondered for a moment. He slowly stood up, and with a slight sway of his body, he silently disappeared from the hall. In the underworld, the entire void was filled with wisps of pure netherworld chi. The color of the sky was gray, and a blood-red full moon hung in midair. There was a trace of gloomy and cold aura everywhere. Somewhere in a mysterious region, a gigantic ancient city stood tall and erect. There were a few ancient characters written on the ancient city, Fengdu City. Your Majesty, according to reliable news, the tomb of the god of sin in the land of chaos does exist. Moreover, it has already appeared. Many experts are searching for the whereabouts of the land of chaos, preparing to fight for the tomb of the god of sin. I don't know if we should go and seize the tomb of the god of sin. In the imperial palace, the ghost emperor of Fengdu sat majestically on the throne. Below him, the judge respectfully reported. Strange. According to the ruler, the tomb of the god of sin in the land of chaos is an escape from the heavenly Tao. It is impossible for it to appear. According to the path, no one can resist or even find it. Why would it suddenly appear at this time? Could it be that there is an unusual change? The ghost emperor of Fengdu pondered slightly and said, There were 9 tombs of the god of sin in the world. The heavenly Tao was incomplete, and 1 out of 50 was missing. Logically speaking, if there were 9 tombs of the god of sin, it would be impossible for one of them to appear and achieve perfection. However, he did not expect such a strange change to occur. He faintly smelled a trace of conspiracy. Your Majesty, should we intervene? Oxhead also asked in a low voice. No need. Since others want to seize the tomb of the god of sin, let them. Even if they seize the tomb of the god of sin, so what? Without the recognition of the tomb of the god of sin, no matter how much effort they put in, it will still be useless. The ghost emperor of Fengdu shook his head slightly and said calmly. It was as if he did not have any other thoughts about the appearance of the tomb of the god of sin. He did not want anything from the tomb of the god of sin, but there were many people who wanted it. In the skeleton clan of the underworld, there was a great hall of bones made completely of snow-white bones. Thrones of bones stood in the great hall. Inside, on the empty thrones, mysterious figures appeared out of thin air. There were a total of 6 of them. This time, the news of the tomb of the god of sin has been confirmed. Since the tomb of the god of sin has appeared, we, the skeleton clan, must not let it go easily this time. As long as we seize the tomb of the god of sin and let any one of us become a ruler, the skeleton clan will naturally be eternal and everlasting. That's right. Even if the 6 of us can't all go, 3 of us must go and seek opportunities. This kind of opportunity is hard to come by. Agreed. Agreed. Instantly, the short conversation directly received the approval of all the people. Traces of yearning and strong possessiveness could be heard in their voices. For the sake of the tomb of the god of sin, Even those unparalleled experts who were high up in the world would have a strong and crazy pursuit, just like ordinary people who had a strong desire for money. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1096. Not only the skeleton tribe, but also the South Pole. Snow and ice covered the sky, snow mountains stood in great numbers, and glaciers were continuous. There were also countless terrifying ice cliffs. Occasionally, bone-chilling ice storms would roar wantonly in the South Pole. In such an environment, ordinary creatures would immediately be frozen to death and turned into ice-cold ice sculptures as soon as they entered. Even cultivators, ordinary cultivators, would not be able to withstand it and would easily die. However, there was also a large number of creatures here. They were a group of unique creatures that were born in this land of ice and snow. There were snow bears, snow leopards, snow lions, snow rabbits, ice snakes, snow eagles, and so on. They were born with an inestimable immunity to the cold. These creatures living here naturally caused the snow region to have a large amount of vitality. And right under the glacier in the depths of this endless land of ice and snow, there was a palace shrouded in ice and fog. This palace was extremely cold and gorgeous, and there were many murals on it. However, it was extremely cold and cheerless. There was only a blue ice phoenix at the entrance of the palace. The ice phoenix's eyes were closed, as if it was taking a nap. Looking into the palace, there was a snow and ice throne formed by countless ice crystals. On the throne, a goddess sat upright. He saw that this goddess was wearing a white dress. Even her hair was white. As it fluttered, it emitted a shocking cold power. She wore a crown of ice and snow on her head. She was indescribably noble. Between her eyebrows, there was a plum blossom mark that set off her cold and noble aura. She was like a queen of ice and snow. However, her face was abnormally blurry and hazy, as if there was a cloud of fog that could not be dispersed. It made it impossible for people to see her true appearance. Even if they saw it clearly, they would have a vague memory and then forget it. Her tall and slender figure made her look even more noble and perfect. She had a kind of holiness that people could only look at from afar and not dare to profane. Her entire figure was like a ripe peach, perfect to the extreme, and extremely alluring. Her cold temperament made people who saw it feel even more conquering. This was the Ice Queen who had confronted Di Shirtion in the past. Whoosh! The Ice Queen's eyelashes trembled slightly. Her pair of cold eyes slowly opened, and there was a strange look in them. She looked at the void and muttered to herself, "Great, the divine tomb in the land of chaos has finally appeared. Wan Jie, you avoided me in the past. Even now that you have been reborn, you still refuse to meet me. Don't think that I don't know why you built your cave dwelling in the land of chaos. You want the divine tomb. Now that the divine tomb has appeared, I don't believe that you can continue to hide and not show yourself. Let's see how you can avoid me." Her face was filled with anger. A ripple appeared in the hall. The ice and snow throne and the ice empress disappeared from the hall. In the underworld, a vast and boundless sea of blood occupied a large area. In the sea of blood, one could see many blood-colored islands floating in the sea. Each island was not fixed, but was constantly moving on its own. On the islands, one could see that they were not ordinary islands, but battlefields filled with the smell of blood. On the battlefields, countless Azura warriors emitted the smell of blood and endless killing intent. Some were fighting with powerful enemies on the islands, some were fighting with savage beasts, and some were fighting with the Azura warriors themselves. In the battle between them, almost every slash was a killing move without holding back. Every move was fatal. Even when facing the Shura clansmen, they didn't hold back at all. Every island was filled with a tragic aura. Moreover, any Azura clansmen that died would be eaten by their opponents on the spot and turned into their own strength. The Azura clansmen were born to fight. They became experts through slaughter. At this moment, on the largest island, in a blood-red palace, experts filled with battle intent sat in their respective seats. Every one of them exuded an extremely strong pressure. They were filled with killing intent. There were a total of 10 of these experts. At this moment there was a decisive conversation in the palace. The news of the appearance of the godly tomb in the Bedlam lands has been confirmed. We all know the importance of the godly tomb. It is the real help to reach the peak. We, the Azura clan, must not let go of this opportunity. The Ancestor is only one step away from that supreme realm. No matter what, we must help the Ancestor obtain the godly tomb. That's right. For the godly tomb, we must have the will to sacrifice our lives. Even if we die, we must obtain it. Once the Ancestor obtains it and ascends to the sovereign realm, our Azura clan will truly live forever. This is the most important thing for the continuation of our clan. Even if this seat dies, we must fight to the last moment. We must not give up on the godly tomb. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, a portion of the 10 of us must stay and guard the clan. If something happens to us, the Azura clan will not be annihilated. The Ancestor once said that the most terrifying calamity in the world is coming. Whether we can survive or not depends on whether we can survive this calamity. At this moment, all of the discussions were extremely concise and clear. Not long after, 5 out of the 10 Almighties remained in the palace. The remaining 5 had completely disappeared. Such a scene could be seen almost everywhere. It was especially so for the various races. Their eyes began to turn red. The attraction of a divine tomb was fatal to any race. A divine tomb could allow a race to exist forever and never be destroyed. It could protect a race for countless years. A godly tomb was a sovereign realm expert. No matter how noble and virtuous one was, at this moment, they would still be moved and go crazy. Moreover, among the human race, countless sects had all sorts of thoughts. Some sects acted as if they had been injected with stimulants and were madly rushing to the Bedlam land. In just a short time, on the violet gold continent, countless pairs of eyes were completely focused on the Bedlam land. Even the battle in the ancient painting of the heavens could not overshadow the sharpness of the godly tomb. This was an opportunity to reach the heavens in a single bound. For the cultivators, this was an extremely fatal attraction. Those peerless experts who did not have much desire for other things all went crazy at this moment. In an instant, the Bedlam lands had completely become a place of turmoil. At this moment, in the Bedlam lands, in front of the turquoise sea of mist, more and more cultivators gathered. However, after hearing about the scene in the sea of mist, although their eyes were filled with greed, there was also a trace of fear. The sea of mist had left a deep impression on them. How can a mere sea of fog block my path? The peerless expert's eyes flashed with a glint. He snorted coldly and waved his long sleeve. Suddenly, an ancient painting with a chaotic color that constantly swallowed the power of yin and yang appeared under him. This was a chaotic yin-yang painting. When the ancient painting appeared, it supported the peerless expert and drew a stream of light in the air, directly piercing through the sky toward the sea of mist. Rumble! As soon as the old man entered the sea of mist, the mist in the sea of mist immediately fluctuated violently again. His body, which had just entered the sea of mist, strangely appeared inside the sea of mist, as if it was constantly being pulled in. A terrifying devouring and corrosive force crazily spewed out from every part of the sea of mist, sweeping over. But strangely, when the corrosive and devouring forces in the sea of mist approached the chaotic yin-yang painting, it immediately emitted a thick layer of clear light of yin and yang. It was like a layer of tough crystal wall, completely repelling the entire sea of mist outside. Not a trace of the corrosive force could enter the ancient painting. In the painting, it was as if yin and yang had just been born, exuding the power of creation. The sea of mist could not cause any harm to the old man. Rumble! However, although the sea of mist could not immediately cause any harm to the old man, the surrounding sea of mist was violently tumbling. A strange force appeared around the ancient painting, trying to transport the old man and the ancient painting farther away from the godly tomb. Although the ancient painting could resist the corrosion, it could not resist this strange repelling force. In the blink of an eye, they appeared in another remote corner, extremely far away from the godly tomb. Humph! I am yin and yang, and my will determines the heavens. Seeing this, the old man's eyes shot out a cold light, and he decisively spat out a sentence. A mass of auspicious clouds appeared above his head, and a black and white Taiji diagram appeared in the clouds. In the center of the diagram stood an old man in a chaotic Taoist robe. This old man was as tall as an adult. A vast will of yin and yang determined the heavens and earth, instantly gushed out from this divine body of will. As soon as the will came out, the tyrannical will immediately restrained the distorting transmission force produced by the sea of mist. Rumble! No matter how the sea of mist tumbled and fluctuated violently, it could not transport the ancient painting and the old man out. Standing in the sea of mist, it was as steady as Mount Tai, like a sea-stabilizing needle. Without thinking, the old man resisted the power of the sea of mist with his will, and the ancient painting under him quickly broke through the sea of mist, shuttling quickly toward the godly tomb. Using the ancient painting to resist the corrosion, using his will to determine the heavens and earth, he moved steadily. The sea of mist could not stop the old man's footsteps. This old man is the yin and yang patriarch of ancient times. He is indeed very powerful to be able to travel so powerfully in the sea of mist. However, such a move must consume an astonishing amount of his willpower. Ming nodded secretly and reminded the old man. This scene also lit up a bright light for the cultivators who had stopped in front of the sea of mist. Their eyes could not help but light up, as if they could see the moon through the clouds. How can I let the patriarch monopolize such a grand event? Seeing the old man quickly approaching the godly tomb in the sea of mist, the demon Tao cultivator did not want to fall behind. He shouted softly. A pitch-black demon flag appeared under him, and there seemed to be thousands of soldiers and horses in the demon flag. Countless demon armies were arranged in formation. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1097. Those with tickets, please step up. The demonic flag exuded an aura that had reached the pinnacle of the demonic path. It exuded the demonic energy of war. The moment the demonic flag appeared, the clatter of war echoed in the surroundings, as if it was a war flag that symbolized war. Countless scenes of war flashed on the flags. Kill, kill, kill. Faint, murderous cries could be heard from the flag. The demonic Tao expert stepped on the demonic flag, which broke through the air and rushed into the sea of fog without hesitation. As soon as it entered the sea of fog, the demonic flag spewed out an endless amount of chi of war, blocking the devouring power of the sea of fog outside the demonic flag. It was unable to corrode the sea of fog at all. Fight, fight, fight. At the same time, a blood-red auspicious cloud appeared above his head. On the auspicious cloud, a war flag that looked exactly the same as the demonic flag below him stood upright and fluttered in the wind. Countless scenes of war were displayed on the flag. An overbearing will of war spewed out in an instant, suppressing the surrounding sea of fog. A kind of weapon, a kind of fierce and unparalleled will of war, suppressed the mist unreservedly. Steadily, it broke through the air toward the divine tomb. Lunatic D, this is the ancient demon lord of war. He cultivates the Tao of war. The more chaotic and intense the battle, the more beneficial it is for him. He's a terrifying demonic expert. Ming introduced Di Shirtian in a deep voice. Charge. Everyone, charge in together. The mist isn't anything to be afraid of. As long as you use your will to stabilize the flow of the mist and protect your body with your treasures, there's no need to fear the mist at all. That's right. The divine tomb is the ladder to heaven. If you're afraid of death, you won't come here. Whether you can advance further will depend on today. When the ancient titans saw that two of them had passed through the mist without incident, their minds began to stir. Without hesitation, madness surged in their eyes. Immediately, a group of ancient titans charged into the mist. All of them were confident that their treasures were powerful enough to resist the erosion of the fog sea. Their wills were also extremely strong, and they should be able to enter the tomb of the god of sin. However, the situation was clearly different from what they had imagined. Although the ancient overlords had made ample preparations, how could their treasures compare to a supreme expert's? No matter how powerful their treasures were, they could only resist for a short while. The mist continued to erode their treasures. Their willpower wasn't strong enough to stop the mist. Their wills were all crushed, and even their bodies were quickly sucked into the depths of the sea of fog. In the blink of an eye, he could no longer hold on. He let out a series of miserable shrieks as he was completely swallowed up by the sea of fog. What a terrifying sea of fog! This scene completely crushed the hopes of the ancient giants. This misty sea wasn't something that the ancient giants could enter. This wasn't an ordinary misty sea, but a truly terrifying sea of death. One by one, they subconsciously took a step back. However, at this moment, the eyes of the veiled woman among the four peerless powerhouses emitted a strange light, and a strange crystal-like ancient mirror suddenly appeared above her head. As soon as the ancient mirror appeared, countless runes appeared on it. Whoosh! A dazzling divine light burst out from the ancient mirror and rushed into the sea of fog. Rumble! The entire sea of fog was violently churning, frantically trying to stop the mirror light from spreading. However, one could see that within the sea of fog, there was an extremely calm scene. It was as if there was a perfectly straight passageway, and within it, there was no power that could move it. With light steps, the woman stepped directly into the sea of fog and steadily approached the divine tomb along with the mirror light. Even the sea of fog couldn't break through the defense of the mirror light. It was extremely powerful. My goodness, is this the legendary heaven-stabilizing mirror? It can even open a passage in the sea of fog. It's really powerful. Ming nodded in amazement. The beautiful woman waved her hand and a ribbon appeared. She stepped on the ribbon and directly broke through the air toward the sea of fog. A powerful willpower blocked the changes in the sea of fog. She also approached the divine tomb with great calmness. For the ancient giants, the sea of fog was an insurmountable moat. However, for the peerless powerhouses, it was not really an insurmountable cliff. One by one, like 8 immortals crossing the sea, each displayed their divine powers and crossed the sea of fog. After observing for a long time, Di Shurtian also grasped some information in this moment. Let's go. I'd like to see how the heartless demon emperor got the divine tomb. Di Shurtian moved and his whole body appeared in the void out of thin air. He stepped straight toward the sea of fog. However, his appearance instantly attracted countless gazes. After seeing his appearance, many people's pupils shrank violently on the spot. They were faintly about to gasp. This is the demon emperor. The demon emperor is also here. It seems that he also has a great desire to occupy the divine tomb. Rumor has it that the demon emperor is extremely domineering. He never shows any mercy when it comes to killing. Even a powerful figure like the Emperor of Longevity was defeated by him. He even suppressed him in the Lingxiao demon court, where he was despised by thousands of demon clans. This is a fierce god. Not only did he prove his Tao with strength, but he also proved his Tao again and condensed an immortal primordial spirit to make up for all his flaws. His battle strength is incredible. It's said that the Great Tribulation is coming. After the annihilation tide, we will face the problem of the demon god's erosion. During this time, we have always tried to avoid the killing of the top experts. I didn't expect the demon emperor to defeat a great emperor without hesitation. He really can't be provoked. Since the demon emperor is here, the battle for the divine tomb will be extremely fierce. I don't know who will get the divine tomb in the end. If the demon emperor gets it and becomes the ruler, no one in the demon clan will be able to shake it. It will be a piece of cake for the demon clan to restore the glory of the antiquity times. Seeing the arrival of Tion, all kinds of thoughts flashed through the minds of these ancient giants. Pater. Sakra didn't pay any attention to the discussions around him. He was at a different level, so his views on various matters were also completely different. His footsteps were extremely steady as he stepped forward. In the blink of an eye, he entered the sea of fog. 9 azure dragons, 9 white tigers, 9 black tortoises, 9 vermilion birds, and 9 cheilants rushed out from the Black Emperor's robe. They surrounded him. They kept circling, letting out waves of overbearing roars. The domineering emperors will forcefully restrain the surrounding sea of fog. With the protection of the 5 divine beasts, the fog around him and all the suction force were blocked. Ripples appeared on the sea of fog beneath his feet. A scene of vast mountains and rivers appeared. It looked vivid and lifelike, appearing in the fog and repelling the fog on the spot. He took another step forward, and the scene of countless stars rotating continuously appeared under his feet. Stars, sun and moon, mountains and rivers, and so on. As Tion stepped forward step by step, they all appeared under his feet. Although the fog was terrifying, it couldn't get close to his body. At the same time, the immortal divine rings were born from his flesh and blood, spinning in circles, like a supreme god walking in the chaos. He didn't use any treasures at all. He looked natural as he walked through the fog. This scene fell into the eyes of many ancient giants, and their pupils contracted violently. He didn't even use any treasures or will. Walking in the fog, he didn't even suffer any damage. This calmness had already created a strong contrast with the previous powerful figures in terms of momentum. They had a better understanding of the demon emperor's true strength. I heard that the demon court is recruiting worthy officials, and they also attach great importance to the rogue cultivators. The recruitment meeting hasn't ended yet. Why don't you go to the demon court to participate in the recruitment meeting, join the demon court, and get an official position? Maybe you'll have something to rely on in the future. Now, this is not a place where ancient giants like us can interfere. I heard that the demon court is holding an arena battle, selecting officials, and even governing the large spaces below. I was born from a stone, and I'm also a member of the demon court, so I can participate. If I succeed, I can immediately become a realm lord. All sorts of thoughts flashed through the minds of many of the ancient titans. The scene in front of them was quite clear. With the fog, the ancient giants had lost the qualifications to participate in the competition for the tomb of the god of sin. They didn't even have the qualifications, so there was no point in staying here. They immediately began to plan for their future. Yen's strength instantly made them understand a kind of message. Many cultivators turned around and left, preparing to join the demon court. What a big tomb! Yen moved forward step by step in the fog. The fog couldn't affect his movements at all. Soon, he appeared in front of the tomb of the god of sin and carefully scanned the tomb. He found that the tomb of the god of sin in front of him was really big. It was at least tens of thousands of feet long, especially the huge tombstone that stood in front of the tomb of the god of sin like a pillar supporting the sky. It was extremely eye-catching. However, the strange thing was that the tombstone was moved to the side, directly revealing the door of the tomb of the god of sin. Moreover, even the door of the tomb was open. It was half open. Obviously, some experts had already entered the tomb of the god of sin. Moreover, the demon war monarch and the others had also entered the tomb of the god of sin. It could be foreseen that the tomb of the god of sin was definitely not ordinary at this moment. Ha ha! A bunch of blind fools. How dare they leave this tombstone here? Lunatic D, quick, try and see if you can get this tombstone. If you can, then you've really picked up a huge bargain. Ming's eyes lit up as he shouted. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1098. The tomb of the god of sin was connected to the tombstone. The two looked like two completely different entities, but they were connected as one. The tombstone and the tombstone were originally one. However, the tombstone was not completely connected to the tomb of the god of sin. The tombstone was a symbol. As long as the tomb of the god of sin did not have a master, the tombstone standing in front of the tomb of the god of sin was usually like a piece of rotten wood on the surface. There would not be any abnormalities. It would not be like the tomb of the god of sin in the southern barbarian lands. When the tomb of the god of sin had a master and the mighty power inside was awakened, the tombstone immediately became the guardian of the tomb of the god of sin. The power it erupted was terrifying. It guarded the tomb of the god of sin, waiting for the master of the tomb of the god of sin to completely absorb the essence inside and become a sovereign. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for other cultivators to enter the tomb of the god of sin in front of him, unless they were a sovereign. If the tombstone in front of him was the same as in the southern barbarian lands, Di Shirtian would definitely immediately dismiss the idea of fighting for the tombstone on the spot. However, when he saw that the tombstone had been moved to the side without any abnormalities, an indescribable thought suddenly emerged in his mind. Rise for this emperor! A thought flashed through Indra's mind and he immediately made a decision in his heart. His eyes emitted a chilling light as he stared at the gigantic tombstone that was like a pillar that supported the heavens. On the tombstone, ancient divine runes appeared, and there was a faint ancient chi circulating within. His right hand reached out toward the tombstone. A purple-gold giant hand that covered the sky condensed out of thin air in the sea of mist. On the palm, 10 eternal divine rings were constantly reverberating, emitting a mysterious great Tao heavenly melody and Emperor's true words. In an instant, it grabbed at the tombstone. Rumble! The giant hand grabbed the tombstone and suddenly lifted it up. However, the moment it was lifted, waves of incredible power came from the tombstone. It was more powerful than countless mountains. The tombstone only shook violently, but was not directly lifted up. The divine light emitted by the 10 indestructible divine rings on the enormous hand became even more resplendent. The great Tao heavenly melody became even more profound. It was like a hatchling shaking a tree. Waves of pure Emperor true power flowed into the huge hand that covered the sky. Under the support of the vast divine power, the tombstone was lifted up inch by inch from the front of the god's tomb, and approached Di Shirtian. At the same time, 10 immortal divine rings shot out from the gigantic hand and enveloped the tombstone. Roar! At this moment, the sea of fog violently churned. Following an evil dragon's roar, a blood-red demonic dragon that was hundreds of thousands of feet long appeared in front of the tombstone. Its blood-red dragon claw unleashed a battle skill. Countless blood-red dragon energies crazily roared and viciously clawed at the massive hand that covered the sky. Crack! At the same time as the tombstone was being absorbed, it suddenly suffered such a tyrannical attack. The heavy force from the tombstone, the blood-red demonic dragon, and the divine rings of indestructible divine rings around the enormous hand all shattered into countless pieces at an astonishing speed. With a boom, the entire hand completely shattered. However, the power of the backlash that erupted from the giant hand that blotted out the sky shattered the crimson demonic dragon immediately. The series of unforeseen events made the cultivators outside the sea of mist dumbfounded. What is the demon emperor trying to do? Instead of rushing into the god's tomb, he wants to take the tombstone away. Could it be that the tombstone is some kind of special treasure? It shouldn't be wrong. Even the demon emperor found it so difficult to absorb it. The tombstone must be extremely mysterious. Who attacked that blood-red demonic dragon? Who dares to openly confront the shifter emperor at this moment? It seems that the matter of the god's tomb has been completely spread out. This place is about to become a place of turmoil. Various thoughts raced through the minds of the cultivators present. However, the desire to join in the fun and be curious was something that all cultivators of any level possessed. Furthermore, this desire was extremely strong. Even though they knew that this place would become the center of the battle, not many cultivators wanted to leave. They all raised their heads to look into the fog. Shweini! The tombstone fell down from the position it was lifted from. Sakra swept his gaze towards the north side of the sea of fog in a blink of an eye. His face was dignified without being angry. His body naturally revealed an endless majesty that spread towards the surroundings. A sharp light flashed through his eyes as he coldly spat out 3 words. Demon Emperor! We are old friends. This tombstone looks good to me. I can take it back and play with it. Why don't you give this tombstone to me? Whoosh! In the position where Di Shirtian's eyes fell, the sea of mist twisted and rolled. Suddenly, a young man in a blood-red robe with an evil smile on his face and blood-red hair draped over his shoulders appeared. It was the blood god Shweini. Standing in the sea of mist, his blood-red robe fluttered without wind, and he exuded an inexplicable evil aura. Looking at Sakra, there seemed to be a kind of obvious provocation. You want this tombstone? Sure. Di Shirtian slowly said. Then, he raised his eyebrows and changed his tone. He said coldly, however, as long as you can get past me, the god's tomb of the god's tomb. How can your fiend celestial continent obtain the supreme treasure of my origin world? What a joke! His words contained undisguised killing intent. As he spoke, a domineering emperor's will spewed out from his body, crushing towards Shweini. Rumble! Similarly, a domineering blood god's will also burst out from Shweini's body. The 2 wills collided violently in the middle. The invisible confrontation caused the sea of mist in the middle to roll violently like boiling water. Kill! After just one exchange, there was no room for reconciliation between the 2 sides. A fierce killing intent crazily gushed out from Shweini's body like a tide. Below him, a rank 12 blood lotus instantly appeared. This blood lotus seemed to be the source of blood. The moment it appeared, an endless amount of blood gushed out from the blood lotus and quickly formed a terrifying sea of blood around Shweini. Wherever the sea of blood went, it was as if the entire world was under his control. He was the god of the sea of blood. At the same time, a blood-red ruler appeared in his hand. Traces of measurement could be seen on the surface of the blood-red ruler, as if it could measure heaven and earth. Every inch of the blood-red ruler contained a mysterious demonic god, and every inch was an independent sea of blood. It was as if the blood-red ruler was formed from the sea of blood. Within the blood-red ruler, there were more than 2,000 seas of blood. Each sea of blood emitted a strong will. When they gathered together, the will emitted by the blood-red ruler had reached an unbelievable level. This was Shweini's natal demonic treasure, the blood god's ruler. Once hit by the blood god's ruler, one's entire body would instantly turn into a pool of blood. The blood god's ruler swung towards Di Shirtian's head. This ruler seemed to shorten the distance between heaven and earth in an instant. It was as if it had crossed the boundary of time and space. It appeared above his head without any warning. Blood god's ruler technique, heaven and earth's limit. Under the ruler, even heaven and earth could be measured. There was a limit. Nothing could escape the limit of the limit. Under the ruler, one could be so close but so far. Even if you hid at the end of heaven and earth, you still couldn't escape the measurement of the limit. Within the ruler, there was the monstrous power of thousands of seas of blood gathered together. Clang! Shirtian's right hand had already landed on the slender tiger soul's hilt. With a twist of his wrist, the golden tiger soul instantly responded to the sound and instantly came out of the scabbard. Around him, the 129,600 ultimate Emperor talismans vibrated. Waves of pure divine power continuously surged from his body into the tiger's soul. With a twist of his wrist, the blade shook and a brilliant arc of light was drawn out in midair. Roar! Within the tiger's soul, a substantial tautai was formed. It let out a deafening roar. Clang! The tiger soul and the blood god's ruler collided head-on. Immediately, with a loud bang, the surrounding sea of fog instantly crumbled at a shocking speed and dispersed without restraint. More than half of the blood god's power that was spat out by the blood god's ruler was forcefully devoured by the tautai. However, the mighty force that erupted still caused the surroundings to churn like boiling water. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At the same time when the blood god's ruler and the tiger soul collided, Shweini took a violent step towards Shirtian. At the same time, he shook his head slightly. Immediately, strands of blood-red hair swept over like rivers of blood. Within the rivers of blood, one could clearly see that there were many lively souls letting out mournful howls. Each strand of hair had the power to shatter the world. Each strand of hair was like a terrifying needle. It was incomparably sharp and overbearing. When it was waved, it cut through the void and a large part of the sea of fog was cut open. Anything that was sucked in would be crushed into pieces. Break! Shirtian instantly spat out a cold word. His voice was filled with endless majesty. Rumble! Soon after, circles of purple-gold ripples rapidly swept outwards from his body. Wherever they passed, every inch of space would be shaken by the sound wave. Inch by inch, the sea of fog was forcefully shattered and scattered. The tiger roar sound waves that were released with supreme divine power were so destructive that one roar could shatter a great thousand world. It collided with the blood-colored strands of hair. Immediately, a bitter confrontation erupted. The sharp strands of hair were swept into the sound waves. Although the strands of hair were twisting, they also cut through the void. A large area was twisted into pieces. However, there were also strands of hair that were shattered by the sound wave. Ding! At the same time, from the blood god's ruler, thousands of blood seas boiled at the same time and burst forth with monstrous blood god's power. The ruler shook and waves of vibrating power immediately shook the tiger soul away. The ruler turned and drew a strange circle and square in the sea of fog. Blood god's ruler art. Heaven square earth. Without rules there would be no square or circle. The scale of heaven and earth was in the square and circle. It encompassed everything in heaven and earth. A blood-red copper coin strangely condensed under the ruler. This blood-red copper coin was round on the outside and square on the inside. It represented the law. On top of it, countless living beings kept flashing past. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1099. It's Monday again. Brothers, please do your best. If you have any recommendation tickets, please help me. Demon Emperor, back then in the demon court, it was only this god's doppelganger. This time, this is my true body. Don't think that you're amazing just because you've proven your Tao twice. Let me tell you, today, I'll let you know my unparalleled heaven-defying combat strength. I've even fought against a half-step demon ancestor before. Shweini had an evil expression on his face as he coldly spat out a sentence. The blood-red copper coin that had condensed into a substance immediately emitted a mysterious blood-red light. It contained the heavens and earth's geography, the sun and the moon's harmony and boundless laws. In addition, the blood god's ruler had spat out thousands of blood seas. The mighty power contained in the blood-red copper coin had reached an immeasurable level. The copper coin crossed the boundary of heaven and earth and instantly fell towards D. Shirtian's body. The hole in the copper coin seemed to contain boundless power. It contained a Tao rhythm that could devour all things in the world. It made one's mind sink into it with a single glance. D. Shirtian could clearly feel that he had been locked onto. Even if he hid to the ends of the earth, he would not be able to escape from the terrifying intent. The blood god was a terrifying demon god in the ancient demon god continent. The arrogance of his demon flame was definitely not below any half-step demon ancestor. He was only a step away from the half-step demon ancestor. At this moment, his true body had come, bringing along a kind of combat strength that was close to his peak. The strength of his combat strength was not below D. Shirtian's at all. Kill. D. Shirtian's eyes shot out a resplendent divine light as he let out a murderous roar. With a turn of the tiger soul saber, a mighty force with boundless will of death poured into the saber. 3,000 gods and demons whizzed out from the saber and crazily devoured all the energy. They released an unyielding will of death, and even an unyielding will of battle when they fall. Kacha. The tiger soul carried 3,000 gods and demons with it. Wherever it passed, heaven and earth would shake. It domineeringly slashed at the huge blood-colored copper coin. However, the blood-red copper coin was extremely terrifying. A mysterious devouring power was emitted from the copper coin. As it spun violently, the hole in the copper coin turned into a terrifying bottomless pit. It formed a strange vortex. The power of 3,000 gods and demons fell on the copper coin and was devoured. Whoosh! The blood-colored copper coin seemed unstoppable as it appeared directly above D. Shirtian's head, instantly binding his entire imperial body within the copper coin. At the same time, a powerful sealing power continuously spurted out from the copper coin and rushed into the Emperor's body. It was as if it wanted to completely bind the Emperor's body and even his strength. Not good, lunatic D. This battle technique is extremely terrifying. The copper coin contains the laws of heaven and earth. As the saying goes, the net of law is wide, but nothing escapes. The laws of heaven and earth were strict. This power contained the will of the heavens and earth. Once it lands on your body, your entire body's strength and cultivation will be completely restrained. Ming's face was filled with shock as he hastily cried out. D. Shirtian's black hair danced wildly behind his head. He emanated a domineering aura that seemed to say that he was the most important person in all of heaven and earth. His face was filled with incredible dignity and might. Shwaini, he said coldly, I don't care if you're a blood god or something else. I, D. Shirtian, have accumulated my own power bit by bit. Not even the laws of heaven and earth can keep me in check. Who gave you the right to bind me? Today, I'll show you that I'm not some pushover that you devil gods can do whatever you want to me. The Tao. The Tao. The Tao. The Tao that can be spoken of is not an ordinary Tao. The Tao that can be inscribed is not an ordinary name. The Tao of Emperor is the universe. In the blink of an eye, D. Shirtian's body turned violet gold, and the 129,600 ultimate Emperor medallions in his flesh and blood began to resonate with the music of the great Tao. Boundless god power began to converge. D. Shirtian's body trembled as if he were uprooting a mountain. Instantly, the copper coin began to tremble violently. D. Shirtian's body was so powerful that he could shatter the void and shatter all magical laws with a wave of his hand. The power he unleashed was like a mountain torrent or a tsunami. This immeasurable divine power was not something that anyone could easily restrain. Crack. Following a soft sound, cracks began to spread on the copper coin at a speed visible to the naked eye. Rumble! However, at this moment, a pitch-black ancient demon gate appeared out of thin air in the sea of fog above his head. Moreover, it was right above Sakra's head. On the demon gate, countless mysterious demon runes were densely intertwined, forming a demon diagram. All sorts of images could be seen. The Devil Gate seemed to be the source of all devils. Countless devilish voices echoed out from the Devil Gate, echoing back and forth through the sea of mist. Devil, devil, devil. Those who believe in the devil will have eternal life. The Tao of devils will flourish for all eternity. Those who join the Tao of devils will have eternal life. A vast pressure was emitted from the demon gate like a tidal wave. The Devil Gate was tightly shut, and countless strange devilish designs covered every inch of space, forming ferocious devil gods. These devil gods were all different, and there were a total of 3,000 of them. Every single one of them naturally exuded a completely different and terrifying demonic aura. It was as if they contained the Tao of 3,000 devil gods. Ancient Devil Gate. The Devil Gate suddenly opened. Within the Devil Gate, the sage demon son of heaven, whose body was covered in countless golden scales and had a pair of chilling horns on his head, stood there coldly, holding a war flag in his hand. Monstrous devilish flames were burning on his body. Shifter Emperor, you must die today. Even if you've proven your Tao twice, don't even think about escaping. The sage demon son of heaven spoke domineeringly, but it was the voice of the 7 Knights Demon Emperor. Clearly, the 7 Knights Demon Emperor and the sage demon son of heaven had merged again. Ancient Devil Gate, suppress the Shifter Emperor. Rumble. Without hesitation, the ancient Devil Gate took advantage of the moment when Di Shirtian was temporarily restrained by the blood-colored copper coin to directly suppress Di Shirtian's head. The Devil Gate naturally exuded a supreme aura that could suppress heaven and earth. The void around the Devil Gate was being destroyed inch by inch, constantly collapsing. It was exceptionally terrifying. The aura emitted from the ancient Devil Gate almost instantly surpassed that of a peerless expert, directly rising to the realm that was infinitely close to that of the fiend Ancestor. Around the Devil Gate, the entire sea of fog was repelled by that domineering aura. Conspiracy. It was definitely a conspiracy against Di Shirtian. The crowd of cultivators who witnessed this scene felt a chill run down their backs, and countless cold sweat broke out on their back. Their faces were filled with shock and fear. Back in the purple gold mainland, I've heard of the blood god Shweini. Rumor has it that he's extremely strange and can instantly devour all the essence, chi, and spirit in any living being's body. Even the soul can't escape. I didn't expect his true identity to be a peerless expert of the fiend god continent. Looking at his methods, it's really terrifying. I'm afraid any strand of his hair can kill us on the spot. We didn't even see the blood god enter the sea of fog earlier. Could it be that he had already entered the sea of fog before we arrived? Instead of entering the tomb of the god of sin, he was guarding outside the tomb of the god of sin. Could it be that they were specifically waiting for the Shifter Emperor's arrival? Could it be that this is a trap to kill the Shifter Emperor? The fiend god continent wants to kill the Shifter Emperor? What a terrifying ancient Devil Gate. Even the sea of fog can't withstand this aura. If we're in the middle of this aura, I'm afraid we won't be able to withstand it at all. We'll be crushed into meat paste by the aura emitted from within. Oh my goodness, I've never felt such a terrifying aura from a peerless expert. What kind of fiend treasure is this? Oh my goodness, the Shifter Emperor is now restrained by the blood-colored copper coin, and the ancient Devil Gate is pressing down on him from above. He can't even fight back. Is the Shifter Emperor really going to die here this time? That's going to be a world-shaking event. While countless cultivators were secretly shocked, they were also greatly shocked by the sudden fierce battle in the sea of fog. They could all tell that this was a premeditated murder. It seemed that they were specifically waiting for the Shifter Emperor's arrival. Ultimate Emperor shocks the world, eternal immortal. Kill. Di Shirtian personally felt the terrifying aura emitted from the ancient Devil Gate. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. The aura emitted from the ancient Devil Gate was stronger than any expert he had encountered before. It seemed that even a half-step fiend Ancestor could not match up to it. A huge threat emerged from the bottom of his heart. In the ancient Devil Gate, he keenly smelled the aura of death. That aura was extremely strong. Vaguely, the ancient Devil Gate had a terrifying power that could suppress everything and shatter the void. Without thinking, the ultimate Emperor shocks the world in his body began to circulate crazily. In the Shifter Palace, the 12th grade Black Lotus spun at an inestimable speed, spewing out endless ultimate Emperor true force. It poured into every inch of his flesh and blood. Countless ultimate Emperor talismans shone, and the muscles all over his body surged like dragons. His Emperor body shook, and a vast amount of power burst out from his pores. Bang! The blood-red copper coin outside his body shattered on the spot. It was destroyed inch by inch from the impact. At the same time, at this critical moment, his mind was spinning crazily at an unprecedented speed. Various countermeasures flashed in his mind. When he saw the huge tombstone nearby, a crazy thought emerged. Ultimate Emperor Tao, Emperor's Wrath. Wrath! Endless wrath burned in his chest, turning into an endless amount of power that poured into the tiger's soul. As the blade spun, countless images flashed around the blade. Countless emperors were unleashing their wrath. The wrath of the emperors caused rivers of blood to flow. This blade was accompanied by the wrath of the emperors, and it had the power to burn the heavens. It slashed towards the ancient Devil Gate domineeringly. However, the ancient Devil Gate was indeed tyrannical to an inestimable extent. In the Devil Gate, the Sage Demon Emperor and the 7 Knights Demon Emperor merged, and by burning their demon souls, they crazily activated the Devil Gate's power. The power that erupted was simply unstoppable. Any power that stood in front of it would be crushed by the Devil Gate. Crazy Emperor, watch me today. I, Dark, have never been a coward since ancient times. Kill! Right at this moment, a resolute roar came from within Di Shirtian's body. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1100. I don't have enough recommendation vote. Those who have votes, please help me. I'll prepare for another explosion in the next few days. The ancient Demon Gate was a unique demon treasure refined by the demon god continent. It had a mysterious power that ordinary people couldn't estimate, especially the sage demon son of heaven inside. It was a demon fetus, a supreme demon body condensed for the sake of reaching the peak. Once it was fully mature, the sage demon son of heaven would prove his Tao through strength and condense a truly indestructible demon body. It would create a staircase to reach the demon ancestor. It was obvious that the power contained in it was enormous. At this moment, the 7-Knight Demon Emperor and the Sage Demon Emperor had fused together. By burning their demon souls, the energy in their bodies had gone completely berserk. On the spot, the boundless power hidden in the ancient Demon Gate was completely unleashed. The power that erupted could suppress the thousands of worlds since time immemorial. It had the power to suppress the past and present. Unparalleled experts would still be suppressed to death by the Demon Gate. Sakra was first imprisoned, and then faced with such a majestic attack. In addition, the Blood God's blood robe was spying on him. All kinds of methods, in an instant, caused him to completely fall into a terrifying killing trap. Now, he was sure that what was happening in front of him was definitely a killing trap set up by them. Moreover, the demon god who set up this killing trap was definitely terrifyingly intelligent. If he was hit by the Demon Gate, even with his powerful emperor body, he might be smashed to pieces. At this critical moment of life and death, a desperate and determined roar came from the hell prison. It let out a roar. Ming, who had already gained control of most of his body, could no longer remain calm. He continued to remain silent. The anger that had been suppressed and accumulated in his body for countless years since the ancient times gushed out like a surging river, completely erupting. Nether was so famous in ancient times, but it was inexplicably suppressed in the god's eye. Fortunately, it followed Tion and grew up. Now, its power had recovered to the same level as in ancient times. In the hell prison, it could suppress the divine souls of unparalleled experts. Now that it had obtained the body of a heavenly soldier, it finally couldn't remain silent when Tion was in danger. He knew that if he were to strike out this time around, there was a high chance that he would be beaten to death by the ancient demon gate. However, he still roared out without hesitation. "Lunatic D, to be able to follow a master like you, I, Nether Prison, can die without regrets. Kill!" Rumble! A huge body of Ming came out from between Tion's eyebrows. Ming's body was made up of crescent-shaped blades. It was silver-white and blood-red. However, more than half of its body was blood-red. 8 of its 12 pairs of wings were completely blood-red. On its forehead, 2 ferocious dragon horns shone with a terrifying cold light. A majestic Nether Dao aura circulated in his body. Each blade seemed to contain the existence of a Nether Prison, and countless hymns to the Nether Prison kept coming out of each blade. A blood-red flame rose from his body, completely enveloping him. An eternal and indestructible will of Nether Prison gushed out of his body crazily. He raised his head and looked at the ancient demon gate that was crashing down. A crazed look appeared in his eyes. Not only did he not retreat, he even threw a punch at the ancient demon gate. Like master, like servant. If Nether Prison wanted to prosper forever, it had to rely on fists and strength to fight, seize, and forge the glorious history of Nether Prison. Countless punishments and scenes of purgatory flashed around him. Rumble! The underworld and the eternal demon gate clashed together ferociously. For a moment, the entire sea of mist trembled violently, giving off a loud boom. Under the destructive power of the collision, the entire sea of mist was disintegrated into dust at an alarming speed. The terrifying destructive power instantly engulfed the entire fog sea. He looked at the center of the battle. The mighty force of the Nether Purgatory collided violently with the demonic Tao of the ancient demon gate. Both sides were trying to annihilate each other. However, the power that erupted from the ancient demon gate was too terrifying. The will of Nether Purgatory that burst out of Nether Purgatory was forcefully crushed. Bang! Under the suppression of the ancient demon gate, countless hideous and terrifying cracks appeared on Dark's originally tough blade at a speed visible to the naked eye. Like a spider web, these cracks crazily spread all over his body. They were densely packed and looked extremely terrifying. "Let's die together." Nether's face, which was full of cracks, revealed an incomparably crazed and ferocious expression as he let out a terrifying roar. Rumble! With a loud boom, his entire body exploded apart as countless of sabers slammed against the eternal demon gate with a devastating force. With his fleshly body and a heaven-grade weapon, his combat strength was comparable to that of a peerless expert. At this moment, the power that erupted from his self-destruction was enough to destroy the boundless world. Crack! Under Nether's self-destruction, the originally ferocious and overbearing ancient demon gate was sent flying backward. Cracks began to appear on the extremely sturdy gate. Demonic energy was constantly dissipating from the cracks. Nether! The moment Tion saw this, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. A kind of madness that had not appeared since he had reached a certain level appeared in his heart. His black hair behind his head fluttered crazily even though there was no wind. The anger and fury in his body burned fiercely. Who was Nether? He had been following him since he was young. Not only did he help him control the Nether Prison and suppress the divine soul, but he also gave him pointers and imparted countless experiences at critical moments. It could be said that without Nether by his side, it would have taken him thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years to reach his current level. He had always treated such a good teacher and helpful friend as a family member. Now, Nether had actually died to protect him from the calamity. This pain was simply bone deep. It was heart-wrenching. Shueini Chi-yi, both of you must die. I swear to heaven and earth that I will tear you into pieces. I will make you kneel in the demon court and repent to Nether for eternity. Di Shirtian's eyes turned blood-red in an instant. He spat out these words coldly. One could feel the bone-chilling coldness in his voice. However, he merely glanced coldly at the blood-stained robe and the ancient demon gate that was filled with cracks. Then, his gaze landed on the gigantic tombstone. The Emperor's body quickly flew toward the tombstone. The ultimate Emperor realm shocks the world. The Emperor's Tao desires the Tao. The flesh is immortal, the Emperor's body is eternal. The ultimate Emperor talisman, the primordial spirit, the sovereign's Tao foundation. The heavenly Tao is incomplete, and the tombstone is used to fix it. Lay the supreme foundation. Refine the tombstone into the body. Di Shirtian's heart was cold. However, he did not immediately attack Shueini and the others. Instead, he pounced on the tombstone and spat out a mantra filled with anger and madness. Whoosh! At the same time, as he pounced on the tombstone, the Emperor's body disintegrated at a speed visible to the naked eye. It turned into 129,600 Emperor talismans of the same size. Each of the Emperor talismans was so condensed that they seemed to be real. Outside the Emperor talismans, 10 undying divine rings revolved continuously. They gathered together like a huge net and wrapped around the tombstone. Rumble! Each of the Emperor talismans was an eternal source of power. At the same time, they wrapped around the tombstone. Waves of vast divine power continuously poured into the tombstone. The Emperor True Force, 7 emotions, 6 desires, and so on. In an instant, the tombstone was forcefully refined with a monstrous aura. Each of the Emperor talismans spat out purple-gold-colored divine flames, turning the tombstone into a purple-gold sun. Although the tombstone did not display the boundless power of the tombstone because of the divine tomb, its strength was still immeasurable. Therefore, Di Shirtian had no choice but to use the Emperor's body to refine the tombstone into his body. He had to keep the tombstone in his body before he could forcefully take it over. This step not only shocked Shueini and the 7 Knights' Demon Master, but also made the cultivators outside feel their hearts beating faster. The series of changes made the ancient giants who had experienced countless dangers and tribulations feel as though they could not control their heartbeat. Their hearts were all tensed up. It was as though they would break into countless pieces in an instant. Who is that? He actually came out of the Demon Emperor's body with such terrifying power. He's willing to die for the Demon Emperor. How heroic! What a terrifying destructive power! The ancient demon gate is indeed extraordinarily strong. I wonder if that Almighty was killed by the demon gate. It's too scary. If it was me, I'm afraid that 100 or even 1,000 of me would have died without a complete corpse. What kind of supreme treasure is that tombstone? Why is the Demon Emperor so desperate to get his hands on it? However, it seems like it's an immeasurable supreme treasure. The cultivators all began to discuss among themselves, but they all stared at the sea of fog without blinking. Although they couldn't enter the sea of fog, they still wanted to see what was happening inside. Rumble! However, there was another change in the sea of fog. The 129,600 Supreme Emperor talismans wrapped around the tombstone and gathered together strangely. Suddenly, a Supreme Emperor's body that was 12,000 feet tall appeared in the sea of fog. The tombstone was directly wrapped into the body and entered his flesh. Waves of purple-gold Emperor blood washed the tombstone continuously. At the same time, the tombstone that was forcefully wrapped in the body also underwent a shocking change under the cleansing of the Emperor blood. The huge tombstone shrunk at an unbelievable speed. Every time it was cleansed by the Emperor blood, the tombstone shrunk a little. It was as though it had a mind of its own. Suddenly it shook. Strangely, it drilled into Di Shirtian's left arm and completely fused with it. It was as though it had settled down and did not move anymore. However, in an instant Chertion felt as though his entire left arm suddenly had the power to turn the world upside down. It was as though it could split the heavens and earth and destroy everything. An unprecedented power emerged from his left arm. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1101. Refining the Tombstone into Your Body. How dare you snatch the tomb of the god of sin? You're courting death. Shweini witnessed Chertion refining the tombstone into his emperor body. His eyes gleamed with a cold light, and his body exuded a strong killing intent. Without thinking, he pounced on Chertion without hesitation. His entire body turned into a blood shadow, traversing the void in the sea of fog at an unprecedented speed. He wanted to pass through Chertion's body. The Blood God Sutra was extremely terrifying and domineering, especially the technique of turning into a blood shadow. It was simply terrifying. Once the blood shadow passed through a living being's body, the spirit and even the flesh and blood of the living being would be devoured. Even the divine soul would turn into a blood-red strand along with the blood skin. They would never be able to escape from its control. Furthermore, once it transformed into a blood shadow, it would be invisible. Any physical attack that could cause damage to it would be reduced to an inestimable level. Furthermore, it would be able to shuttle through countless spatial faults. Its speed had reached an inconceivable level. Monster Emperor, your subordinates are already dead. This time, even if the ancient Devil Gate is destroyed forever, I will still kill you, said Qin Wentian. Your existence is a huge threat to my demon god continent. Sooner or later, this origin world will belong to my demon god continent. How can we be at ease if you're not dead? Ancient. The Saint Demon's son let out an earth-shattering roar. The ancient demon gate, which was already full of cracks, surged with monstrous power once again. It appeared above Chertion's head and pressed down on him domineeringly. It looked like it would not stop until it killed him. Countless demonic runes emerged from the demon gate, forming innumerable Dao runes that evolved into demon Dao runes. It wanted to kill Chertion. The speed of the blood shadow formed by the blood print robe was unimaginably fast. In just a blink of an eye, it had already appeared in front of Chertion. Underworld has followed your emperor for countless of years. To think that you guys would dare to kill it. Let me tell you guys right now. Today you guys are finished. Completely finished. Even if the demon Ancestor were here right now, he would definitely not be able to protect you guys. Chertion's black hair danced wildly behind his head. His face was as cold as iron, incomparably indifferent, as if he wanted to freeze the entire world. The purple-gold vertical mark between his eyebrows kept flashing with divine light, exuding an astonishing pressure. When he thought of the scene where Ming was crushed into pieces, the fury in his heart was like a tidal wave that couldn't be stopped. The blood in his body was boiling violently. It was scalding hot. At the same time, the tombstone that had entered his left arm was being cleansed by the sovereign blood. As the sovereign blood boiled, it also seemed to stimulate the tombstone. The tombstone shook violently. Immediately, the entire tombstone mysteriously shattered into millions of tiny fragments. Each fragment seemed to contain countless mysterious Dao marks. There were countless mountains, rivers, suns, moons, stars, living beings working, and scenes of races slaughtering each other. It was like pieces of a broken map. Moreover, if one looked closely, they would discover that all of these fragments were the same size, not a bit more or a bit less. It was very strange. After being cleansed by the Emperor's blood, they gave off a faint purple-gold color and gave off an ancient aura. After these fragments broke apart, they quickly fused together in an unbelievable manner within the left arm. On the left arm, there seemed to be countless dragons rolling and surging under the skin. Suddenly, mysterious Tao diagrams appeared on his skin. They were vivid and lifelike. Countless divine runes rotated on his arms, as if they were deducing all kinds of peerless battle skills. It was a vast epic of battle skills. On the left arm, an ancient aura kept flowing. Powerful, incomparably powerful. The power in the arm made Chertion feel as if he could punch through the void and into the chaos. It was as if there was a supreme will that could dominate the universe and control everything. Looking at the blood shadow that was pouncing towards him, Chertion's anger rose even higher. He shouted coldly, "I'll kill you." His left hand instantly clenched into a fist, and countless godly puppets emerged from his arm. They surrounded his left hand and sang a song of praise, forming a series of overbearing battle skills. The appearance of each battle skill made the power contained in his fist even stronger. It was as if there were countless terrifying battle skills and countless powerful godly puppets condensed on his fist. He directly attacked the blood shadow domineeringly. Rumble! After fusing with the tombstone, the power in his left arm was completely boundless. Under the punch, the sea of fog was instantly shattered, and a huge hole was punched out. It landed solidly on the blood shadow. Bang! In that instant, the blood-red figure was struck by the terrifying attacks of thousands of puppets at the same time. Although the blood-red figure was formless, it was still unable to block the attacks of the fists. It was as if anything, even a specter, would still be smashed to pieces when the power reached a certain level. The power contained in the fist was so domineering that the blood shadow was shattered into pieces and scattered in all directions. Boom! Boom! At the same time, the fist force contained in the fist did not stop. Instead, it rushed forward in a domineering manner. Everywhere it passed, everything was smashed into pieces. It directly pierced through the sea of fog and appeared in the land of chaos. It also blasted a huge hole in the void of the land of chaos. From the hole, one could see that on the other side was the chaos. Countless streams of chaotic chi quickly flowed into the land of chaos through the hole. It turned into a disaster, causing the whole world to become even more chaotic. Terrifying. To think that a single punch could pierce through the sea of fog and shatter the blood god into pieces. It even blasted a hole in the void and penetrated into the chaos. What kind of power is this? This is the true power of a monster emperor. It's so domineering that there's no end to it. It's too scary. Anyone who blocks in front of him will be smashed into pieces with a single punch. Many of the cultivators were dumbfounded. However, at this moment, the ancient demon gate once again pressed down on Chertion's head with an unparalleled momentum. For a moment, under the demon gate, countless dimensions collapsed continuously. Countless demon gods sang praises in the demon gate, causing the void to distort and the sea of fog to churn violently. The boundless pressure crushed down as if there were thousands of mountains crushing down on one's body. It was so heavy that it could bend one's body and crush it. The 10 inextinguishable divine rings around Sakra's body were constantly being crushed by the pressure. Destroyed. Under the heavy pressure, he could not move at all. So what if it's the ancient demon gate? Yours truly is going to crush you today. Chertion spun his left hand before him as his black hair danced wildly. He gave off an unparalleled domineering aura as he punched out at the ancient demon gate that was pressing down on him. Rumble! Boom! 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 The fist was extremely domineering as it slammed down on the ancient demon gate. Instantly, the surrounding sea of fog vaporized and dissipated into nothingness. There were already cracks on the demon gate. Under the bombardment of the vast and mighty force from the fist, the demon gate was attacked as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The cracks continued to spread in all directions like a spider web, densely covering the entire demon gate. No. How could this be? How could you possess such frightening might? Even if you were to prove your Tao through strength, there's no way you could possess such a domineering emperor's body. There's no way your strength could reach such a state. Monster Emperor, there's no way you could possess such might. The 7 Knights Demon Master roared out in disbelief. Given the current state of the ancient demon gate, even the most powerful beings would be crushed to death. However, with a single punch from Di Shirtion, the demon gate was crumbling down rapidly. Bam! Cracks had already appeared on the ancient demon gate after being struck by the Nether. This time, when it was struck by the Nether's fist, it was simply as easy as crushing dry weed. There was no surprise at all, and it shattered into millions of pieces on the spot. However, the broken pieces carried the same domineering demonic might as they flew towards Di Shirtion and struck him. The immortal divine rings shattered one after another. They pierced through his chest. Drops of Emperor blood dripped down. As the Emperor blood dripped down, it made Di Shirtion even more domineering. Swoosh! However, the 7 Knights Demon Master and Shueishin were indeed terrifying almighties of the demon god tribe. The moment the ancient demon gate crumbled, the sage demon son of heaven left the demon gate and turned into a stream of light as he entered the tomb of the god of sin. At the same time, Shueishin's body that had been smashed into pieces was not completely destroyed. They gathered from all directions. In the blink of an eye, they formed a blood shadow and flew into the tomb of the god of sin. He left behind a message in the sea of fog. Demon Emperor, you may not be able to kill me. If you have the guts, go ahead and chase me. I will settle this with you in the tomb of the god of sin. You can't escape. Even if you enter the tomb, I will dig you out. Monstrous emperor flames surged from Di Shirtion's body as he looked coldly at the 2 demons that had entered the tomb of the god of sin. Ding! At this moment, the crisp sound of a saber rang out in the sea of fog. This sound immediately made Di Shirtion, who was about to enter the tomb of the god of sin, stop in his tracks. He turned to look in the direction of the sound. He saw a blood-red saber in the shape of a crescent moon in the sea of fog on the left side of the sea of fog, exuding a cold light. From the blade, one could clearly see a blood-red dragon coiling inside. Ming! Seeing this, Di Shirtion's eyes, which were full of killing intent, softened, and he cried out in surprise. Lunatic D, it's really tragic this time. I collided with the ancient demon gate. That demon gate is too terrifying. I tried my best to protect this blood saber. My divine soul is connected to my body. Now that the blood saber has been destroyed, my divine soul has also been torn into pieces. This time, my strength has been lost to an immeasurable extent. I'm afraid I won't be able to recover without a lot of time to recuperate. The voice of Dark came out from the Bloodblade. However, his tone changed and became ruthless. However, Lunatic D, you did a good job. You can't let these 2 fellows go. You must beat them until they can never rise again. We must kill them all. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1102. Dark looked at his current situation and felt like crying. His divine soul had fused with the heavenly soldier's body. Now that he was faced with the collapse, he also suffered immeasurable damage. Thinking of this, he developed a deep hatred for Shueishin and the 7-Knight Demon Emperor. Good. 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 Sakura spat out the word good 3 times in a row, showing the joy in his heart. Even his voice carried a kind of lightness as he nodded and said, "It's fine as long as you haven't fallen. If you haven't fallen, this Emperor will have a way to help you recover. Bloodstained clothes and 7 Knights Demon Emperor won't be able to escape sooner or later. However, the most important thing right now is to recover you." His trust and respect for Underworld had reached a new height after it had helped him fight against the ancient demonic gate. This was the type of person who was truly loyal to the death. Crazy Emperor, don't force yourself. The most important thing now is the tomb of the god of sin. We can't let the heartless demon emperor and the others get it. Otherwise, the origin world's cultivators will lose all face. If you consume too much energy for me, it will have a considerable impact on your strength. Even though Ming felt a wave of warmth from Indra's words, she still reminded him. He didn't want to miss such a big event like the tomb of the god of sin. Di Shirtian didn't say anything else. He just glanced at the place where he had collided with the ancient demon gate. His expression was solemn, and his black hair fluttered without wind. A supreme emperor's aura pervaded his body. He shouted, "There are laws in heaven and earth, and there are Tao in heaven and earth. Time is like a shuttle, and space is like a fortress. The laws of heaven and earth listen to my order. Time reversal." Rumble. Every word, every sentence, seemed to carry the power of the heavens and the earth. Every time he spat out a word, a part of the vast and boundless royal true force in his body would disappear. In his voice, there was a mysterious Tao rhyme that quickly spread to the surrounding heaven and earth. When he finished speaking, more than half of the true force in his body was depleted in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the sea of fog in front of him roiled violently, appearing somewhat bizarre. Distortions appeared out of nowhere. In an instant, a sea of mirrors appeared. Countless spaces were spinning in reverse. At the same time, a formless river appeared in the sea of fog. Within the river, scenes of intense battles between Di Shirtian, the seven-night devil emperor, and Shueini appeared. Looking at that area, the long river that seemed to be forever moving forward actually began to strangely fluctuate. Suddenly, the long river began to move backwards in an unimaginable manner. All sorts of scenes flashed before his eyes as though he was watching a movie. In the blink of an eye, he was back to the scene of the ancient devil gate being suppressed by the infernal vengeful body. Daylight stealing. Seeing this, Sakra's eyes shot out a ray of radiance. In a split second, he stretched out his hand and grabbed towards that twisting long river. Rumble! A body formed by countless blades was forcibly extracted from the long river of time. However, the moment it was extracted, the long river of time suddenly rushed towards Di Shirtian. The long river seemed illusory, but it contained an immeasurably terrifying power. Even the eternal divine ring couldn't stop it. It forcibly pierced through the emperor's body. This movement seemed to take away endless essence and vitality from the emperor's body. In an instant it seemed as though thousands of eras had passed. "Lunatic D, your hair!" Dark couldn't help but exclaim. After the long river of time passed through Di Shirtian's hair, the originally pitch-black hair changed color at a speed visible to the naked eye. It turned from black to snow-white in an instant. It carried the aura of twilight. "It doesn't matter. No matter how high the price, as long as I can save you, why not? What's a trifling amount of lifespan to me? As long as I become a sovereign lord, lifespan won't matter. Besides, I corroborated my Tao with power. My fleshly body is eternally indestructible, and I constantly replenish my essence and vitality. My Tao foundation won't be shaken." Sakra took a deep breath and pushed the body in front of him towards Ming. Immediately, Ming rushed into the body. In an instant, the remaining silvery white color turned completely blood red at an unbelievable speed. Not a single bit of it was left behind. "Lunatic D." Dark looked at Indra's snow-white hair and only spat out 3 words. He didn't say anything else, but there seemed to be a flame burning in his heart. Without saying anything, his figure flashed and instantly entered the divine eye, entering the nether prison. Even if Di Shirtian hadn't said anything, how could Dark not know that time and space were 2 of the supreme magical laws of heaven and earth? Space was the barrier between heaven and earth, and time was the extension of all things in heaven and earth. It symbolized life. Both of them were the foundation of heaven and earth, and anyone who touched them was an unimaginably powerful expert. And yet, Di Shirtian had actually reversed time and space. Time was the most irreversible of all. It flowed forward forever, and reversing it was defying the natural laws of heaven and earth. Anyone who violated them would be punished by heaven and earth. The backlash of time and space was too great. It was a terrifying backlash. Just now, the river of time had been a huge backlash against him. In the blink of an eye, he had been punished by time. It was as though an epoch had passed, and countless life force had been consumed. Countless life force had been consumed. For an ancient demon god like Di-Shirtion, his lifespan was virtually limitless. Even if heaven and earth were destroyed, as long as he avoided it, it wouldn't cause him much harm. But now, he had suffered such a terrifying backlash. Although it didn't seem to be a big deal, Dark had already speculated that it had damaged his Tao foundation. What a terrifying backlash! Reversing time and space really does violate the supreme laws of heaven and earth. That said, as long as Dark is fine, even if my Tao foundation is damaged, there's still a way to repair it. Di-Shirtion took a deep breath and muttered to himself. Although he said he was fine, in truth, he had suffered an incalculable backlash that had shaken his Tao foundation. He hadn't expected the backlash to be so domineering. His originally limitless and eternal lifespan was beginning to reappear, limiting his own lifespan. He could clearly sense that he only had 800 years left. 800 years was not the only time his fleshly body would wither, his nascent divinity would crumble, and his divine soul would perish. If he couldn't find a solution within 800 years, he really might perish. The most important thing was that his body was suffering from an extremely terrifying time divine ability, time imprisonment. Time elapsed. With these two divine abilities entrenched in his body, his lifespan was no longer limitless. He couldn't increase his lifespan beyond 800 years. The limit of his lifespan was directly restricted to a certain number. The time elapsed was even more terrifying. With Di-Shirtion's cultivation and Emperor's physique, as long as he consumed a little of his lifespan, he could instantly replenish it. In this way, even if he only had 800 years of lifespan, it could still be said to be limitless, could never be used up. However, this time elapsed consumed a year of his lifespan. That was a real reduction of 1 year. The amount of time he replenished would be the same as the amount of time lost. Such a situation was extremely disadvantageous for Tao attainment. It was a terrifying hidden danger. However, Di-Shirtion didn't regret it. He knew very well that with Dark's previous situation, if he didn't find his body, he would immediately fall into a deep slumber. Moreover, it would be a deep slumber that he would never wake up from. The impact of the eternal demon gate was too great. It was so great that even his body and divine soul had suffered destructive damage. No matter what, he couldn't watch this happen before his eyes. The divine tomb, I hope you have what this emperor wants. Di-Shirtion didn't sink for too long because of what happened to his body. In the blink of an eye, he recovered and his face didn't reveal the slightest abnormality. He steadily stepped into the divine tomb. His aura stabilized. At the same time, the countless map fragments that had fused into his flesh and blood strangely reappeared in his left arm. They once again condensed into a tombstone and quietly suppressed it in his arm. The power that could destroy everything dissipated in the blink of an eye. Even the ancient aura on his arm disappeared. The tomb's door had long been opened. Di-Shirtion entered the divine tomb without any obstruction. This scene fell into the all-heavens cultivators' eyes, and they felt a sense of horror. Especially when they saw Di-Shirtion's black hair turn snow-white in an instant. This caused countless suspicions to arise in their hearts. I've heard that the demon race has produced a rarely seen peerless heavens prideling and has even become a supreme demon emperor. I used to have some doubts, but now it seems that he really lives up to his reputation. To be able to reverse time and space is something that few of us can do. I didn't expect the demon emperor to have such great power. However, reversing time and space is against the rules of heaven and earth. He must have suffered an inestimable backlash just now. Among the cultivators, a slender young man had a thoughtful look on his face. He carried a strange ancient sword on his back. After pondering for a while, he muttered to himself, "Interesting. It seems that the demon race's luck is endless. The demon race has indeed blessed the various races in ancient times. At the top, no one dares to take the risk of destroying the demon race." Crack! The young man's face revealed a touch of majesty. He pulled out the ancient sword on his back and casually slashed at the sea of fog. There was a loud boom. The ancient sword was incomparably domineering and sharp. The sea of fog in front of him rolled violently, and a straight passage that led directly to the divine tomb appeared. The domineering sword chi forced the sea of fog to part. The young man moved, turned into a beam of sword light, and instantly shuttled through the sea of fog. There was a flash of divine light. His entire body had drilled into the divine tomb and completely disappeared. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1103. If you have tickets, please help me buy a few tickets. Once you're done, please come back and recommend us. The Blood God, the Seven-Night Demon Emperor. I didn't expect the Demon God continent to have already sent a large number of powerhouses into the Purple Gold continent. From the looks of it, they're preparing for the final battle after the Annihilation Tide. However, the Blood God was clearly destroyed in the ancient times. Why would he appear again? Among the cultivators, a middle-aged man frowned slightly as he looked at the sea of fog. The middle-aged man wore a headband on his forehead, which was embedded with a golden gem. It was like a resplendent sun, emitting a dazzling divine radiance with an invisible deterrent force. The Shifter Emperor has already been severely injured. I wonder if the Three-Eyed God clan can benefit from this. The middle-aged man quickly thought of this, but he did not hesitate. There was a rumble below him. A golden sun chariot appeared below him. In front of him, 9 fiery red celestial horses with wings pulled the chariot. With boundless divine might, it charged straight into the sea of fog. As it charged into the sea of fog, the chariot naturally exuded an immeasurable mighty force. It instantly repelled the sea of fog and advanced toward the tomb of the god of sin. At the same time, mysterious figures broke through the air one after another. When they saw the sea of fog, they were even more fearless. Without hesitation, they charged into the sea of fog and quickly charged into the tomb of the god of sin. One after another. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen figures charged into the sea of fog. Each of them was not afraid of the sea of fog at all. That scene stunned the crowd. Their minds were shaken, and they were about to go dizzy from the shock. To be able to enter the sea of fog without being injured, one had to be at least an unparalleled powerhouse. My goodness, the tomb of the god of sin is really unimaginably attractive. In the past, these old monsters were all hiding and cultivating in seclusion. It's rare to see one even in tens of thousands of years. I didn't expect that for the tomb of the god of sin, these powerhouses would rush like a market. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it at all. With so many powerhouses entering, and there seems to be powerhouses from the demon god continent among them, this will definitely be a fierce battle. I just don't know who will get the tomb of the god of sin in the end. The appearance of the tomb of the god of sin means that another ruler will be born. In that case, it will definitely play a decisive role in the final battle against the demon god continent in the future. All the cultivators in the all heavens quickly considered their options. At the same time, among the cultivators, a figure quickly left the chaotic lands. Purple Gold Continent. Within the demon court in the Jade Pool. Chun-Shi sat in the Baiyuan garden. In front of him, left Prime Minister who stood respectfully. Demon Empress, this old subject has received news that His Majesty has appeared in the Bedlam lands and has entered the divine tomb. However, His Majesty was ambushed by the fiend god continent, and I'm afraid that he has suffered some injuries. Furthermore, the secret report said that a large number of peerless experts are rushing to the divine tomb from all directions. The battle for the tomb of the god of sin this time will be extremely intense. Old Fox quickly reported the situation to Old Fox. However, the worry in his words was obvious. Shirtian's hair actually turned white in an instant? No, we can't let him take the risk alone this time. There was deep worry in Chen Shi's eyes, especially when he heard that Shirtian's hair had turned white in an instant. The worry in his heart reached the peak in an instant. She decisively said, "Pass down this Empress order. All the armies of the demon court are to prepare for war. Activate the lightning gathering tower. Ask No All to take charge of the demon court and immediately head to the chaotic lands. The demon race cannot let His Majesty face all kinds of threats alone. The demon race already has the strength to face all strong enemies." Her decisive words were filled with incomparable confidence and majesty. "I will obey the demon empress order." Old Fox's heart trembled slightly when he sensed the intense pressure coming from Chen Shi's body. He hurriedly agreed without any hesitation. With that, he immediately turned and walked out of the jade pool. There was also a strong murderous intent on his body. Rumble! Not long after, the demon court, which had been motionless, shook violently and broke through the void, heading toward the endless void. This movement caused many cultivators in the city to feel puzzled and surprised. Let's not talk about this for now. On the other hand, Shirtian stepped into the tomb of the god of sin. As soon as he entered, the scenery in front of him suddenly changed. What appeared in front of them was an ancient and slender tomb passageway. Inside the tomb passageway were numerous tomb lamps. The flames within the lamps burned brightly, emitting strands of light that scattered in all directions, illuminating the entire tomb passageway. However, these lights did not bring the slightest warmth to the tomb path. Instead, there was a gloomy and terrifying aura. On both sides of the tomb path, there were murals. On these murals, there were all kinds of ferocious and terrifying scenes. They were not ordinary murals, but pictures of the demon purgatory. Ancient fiend gods with thousands of eyes, demons with thousands of pairs of wings, all kinds of scenes of eating alive, and even countless tragic scenes of souls floating on the battlefield. These scenes were vivid and lifelike, as if they really existed. There were all kinds of tragic battles, and the targets were actually peerless powerhouses. In each mural, there were scenes of countless peerless powerhouses falling, and there were pictures of fiend gods stepping on countless corpses to reach the top, holding the power in their hands. In each mural, there were countless powerhouses fighting, but there was only one who reached the top. Moreover, in the tomb path, there were many ice-cold fiend god statues. They were in all kinds of terrifying appearances, with a terrifying aura, guarding the tomb path. The statues emitted an aura that if one's courage was just a little bit weaker, they would immediately be scared out of their wits and completely lose their mind. The tomb path was extremely long, and at a glance, there seemed to be no end to it. At the end of the tomb path, there was endless darkness and gloom. In the entire tomb path, there were only 9 murals, 9 tomb lamps, and 9 fiend god statues. What a strange tomb path! Sakura, you have to be careful. Apart from the 3 rulers, the other cultivators have no way of knowing what exactly is going on in the divine tomb. No one can predict what kind of accident will happen when you just enter it. However, it's a little strange. Logically speaking, there should be other powerhouses who entered before you, so why can't you see anything in this tomb path? Ming sat on the wheel of samsara, and his expression and temperament had become extremely calm as he quickly analyzed. Since I've entered, there's no reason to retreat. A look of determination flashed in Shirtian's eyes, and he was not shaken by the scene in front of him. Patter! His mind was set, and he no longer hesitated, and he stepped forward. The power around him had already filled every inch of his flesh, and the 10 indestructible divine rings could appear around him at any time. The royal true force was constantly flowing in each of his demon veins, ready to deal with any unexpected situation at any time. In his right hand, he held the tiger soul, and the blade of the tiger soul was slanted to the ground, dragging the tip of the blade on the ground as he moved forward. He dragged the blade as he moved. He could slash out at any time in an instant. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed in the tomb. Step by step, he moved forward. His mind was always on guard to deal with any unforeseen circumstances. However, the strange thing was that when de Chertion passed by the 9 murals, nothing happened. It was as if it was really an ordinary tomb path. However, when he stepped past the 9th statue, the tomb path in front of him became extremely strange. What appeared in front of him was an endless darkness. The darkness was abnormally deep, and even the clairvoyant eye could not see through it. He tried to take a step into the tomb path, shrouded in darkness. Whoosh! Immediately, a change occurred. His left foot stepped into the darkness, but strangely, it did not move forward at all. Instead, it moved back and stood in front of the 9th statue, without taking a step forward. De Chertion raised his eyebrows slightly and exclaimed in surprise. He wanted to take another step forward. However, something unbelievable happened again. Although he felt as if he had really stepped into the darkness, his body did not move at all. He was still in the same position as before. It was as if he was just stepping on the same spot and did not really step out. He tried a few more times, but the result was the same. The tiger's soul slashed forward and slashed at the darkness. The domineering blade energy seemed to have never appeared. It went straight into the darkness and did not make any sound. He tried all kinds of methods, but he could not take another step forward. Interesting. De Chertion turned his head and looked behind him. He found that the tomb door he came from had also disappeared. The end was also shrouded in darkness. For a moment it was extremely strange. It was as if he was completely imprisoned in this tomb path. Impossible. Since the divine tomb is the divine tomb, it is impossible for people to not enter. Moreover, this divine tomb does not have an owner. Could there be some kind of mechanism in this tomb path? Ming muttered as he quickly analyzed the situation in his mind. The quietness in front of him was like a prison that had been locked up. Indra walked back and carefully scanned the things in the tomb path. His eyes revealed an expression of contemplation. If one were to say that there was something strange in the tomb path, it would definitely be these 9 murals, the 9 statues of gods and devils, and the 9 tomb lamp. Apart from these, there was nothing else in this place. If he looked carefully, the 9 murals were very interesting. The first one was the erotic scene of countless bewitching witches dancing seductively as they engaged in dual cultivation with muscular cultivators. The cultivators in the picture had their essence and souls devoured in the midst of their intercourse, turning into piles of withered corpses. Countless seductive methods were displayed in the murals. In the end, countless corpses piled up and formed a mountain. At the top of the mountain, there was an extremely seductive and beautiful woman. Behind the woman, 9 snow-white fox tails filled the void. They waved wantonly and destroyed the chaos. It seemed to make people feel endless lust and want to throw themselves into it. The second one was a martial arts painting. A venerable martial artist used his physical body as the foundation and martial arts as the profoundness. He condensed his fighting spirit and fought with countless experts. Every punch could shatter the void. Every inch of flesh and blood was emitting divine light. Shaking heaven and earth, stepping on mountains of corpses and seas of blood, exuding a vigorous fighting spirit. At the top of the mountain of corpses, a martial artist wearing beast skin exuded a monstrous fighting spirit. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1104. In the third painting, there were countless ghosts running amok. The ghosts and gods let out monstrous howls, turning a large area of the world into a ghastly and terrifying ghost domain. Every single one of the ghosts and gods had extremely shocking combat strength. Every single one of them was filled with ghastly aura that shot straight up into the sky. Numerous pitch-black iron chains danced in the void, constantly whipping at each other. The ferocious ghosts were fighting with all kinds of living beings. They were also fighting with each other. When the chains hit the bodies of ordinary living beings, the souls of those living beings were directly beaten out of their bodies. The ghosts and gods let out howls, shattering the souls on the spot. Between the ferocious ghosts, they were devouring each other, making themselves stronger. It was like 100 ghosts were wandering at night. On the peak of a mountain that was piled up with countless bones, a ghost god with a single horn on its forehead, countless black chains wrapped around its body, and a scythe burning with black flames in its hand swept across the living beings coldly. It was like the king of the countless ghosts and gods. With just one look, it was a terrifying feeling that one's soul was being shaken. The fourth painting was a scene of countless gods walking in various regions, transmitting countless beliefs and absorbing the power of faith. There were all kinds of gods: evil, justice, nature, intimidation, and so on. All kinds of gods walked in the world, spreading the teachings and receiving the power of faith, condensing into various kinds of divine power. And on the corpses of countless gods, there was a handsome young man with 36 pairs of wings behind his back. He held a scepter in his hand, looking proud of the 9 levels of heaven. The fifth painting was a painting of thousands of beasts. In it, countless ferocious beasts gathered together, carrying out a fierce battle. All kinds of natal divine powers and terrifying physical bodies collided violently, resulting in a tragic massacre. The battlefield was dyed red. A domineering 9-headed ferocious beast was at the top. The sixth painting was a painting of thousands of weapons. There were all kinds of weapons, such as sabers, spears, swords, staffs, and so on. There was no end in sight, almost endless. Each weapon gave birth to a weapon spirit, condensing into a physical body, fighting fiercely with each other. All kinds of exquisite battle techniques were presented one after another. Every saber and sword could instantly split the void and cut through the chaos. A cold young man stood in the void. Around him, all kinds of weapons kept appearing, turning into strands of hair that fell behind his head. Just one look from him was enough to shatter the world. As for the seventh painting, it was a painting of countless calamities. The calamities in it were like a tidal wave, wreaking havoc. Lightning, storms, poison, flames, etc. All kinds of calamities seemed to emerge one after another in an endless cycle. Within the disasters, countless children of disaster were born. Their appearances varied, and they controlled countless disasters to wreak havoc, destroy everything. They fought against each other, but at the highest point, there was also an ice-cold god of calamity. Every inch of flesh and blood on his body was formed from countless calamities. With a single glance, a calamity would descend. At a glance, even De Chertion could feel that if he were to face those disasters, there was a possibility that he would die. The eighth painting was an endless painting of mountains and rivers. There were all kinds of mountains in it, each with their own charm. It was as if they were not inanimate objects, but tall and mighty giant gods. Countless rivers flowed through the mountains, like blood vessels that ran through heaven and earth. It flowed in all directions, connecting the mountains. The entire painting was like a terrifying sleeping deity. The majestic aura was so oppressive that it was difficult to breathe. The ninth painting was also very strange. It was just a piece of chaos. However, in the chaos, it was constantly destroyed, showing the scene of the beginning of the world. The 3 kinds of origin qi of Taichu, Taishe, and Taishang were constantly evolving, but they disappeared in an instant, as if they had never been born. Only innate divine embryos were left, giving birth to the children of Taichu, Taishe, Taishang, and so on. They fought and devoured each other as if they wanted to devour each other completely. It was extremely terrifying. Each and every one of the 9 murals was extremely lifelike, as though they were real existences. They emitted a terrifying pressure. Crazy D, look at these 9 murals. If I'm not wrong, the path ahead must be in these 9 murals. Otherwise, there would be no reason to cut off the 2 paths. They would have imprisoned you in this tomb. Ming said with certainty after a moment of silence. These 9 murals definitely contained an extremely mysterious secret. Di Tian had of course figured out that there should be a path ahead in these 9 murals. However, the key was that there were 9 murals in front of him now. The choice of which one to enter was also an extremely important matter. Each mural was different. He guessed that each mural should have a different meaning. His eyes quickly swept across the 9 murals one by one. Although he was faced with a choice, his eyes were fixed on the ghost god painting full of ghosts in an instant. A look of determination appeared on his face, and he said decisively, "I was born as a genius, and I will die as a ghost hero. I would like to see what is so special about this divine tomb." As soon as his voice fell, since he had already made up his mind, he no longer hesitated and walked toward the 3rd mural without any hesitation. His figure instantly came into contact with the mural. Sure enough, the moment Di Tian came into contact with the mural, ripples like waves quickly covered the entire painting. Then, his whole body went into the mural. After entering, the ripples on the mural disappeared. It calmed down. In the blink of an eye, it returned to normal. The tomb path became even more gloomy and terrifying. There was no sound, no vitality. Even the entire tomb path had strangely disappeared. Only the 9 murals appeared in the void, and the scenes changed again and again. Then, they formed the same tomb path. In each tomb path, there were the same murals, and there were peerless experts. Di Tian entered the mural. There seemed to be a mysterious force wrapped around him, and he didn't feel the power of transmission at all. However, in front of him, there was a strange and variegated scene, and all kinds of scenes were constantly changing. What a strong netherworld aura! What a gloomy ghost aura! The scene in front of him kept changing. The moment his feet stepped on the ground, he finally stopped completely. He felt that the ground under his feet was emitting a terrible and gloomy cold force. At the same time, he breathed slightly, and the sticky netherworld aura in the air was naturally swallowed into his body. It was quite different from the aura in Nether Prison. Haha, another little fellow has delivered himself to my doorstep. Truly, there's a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it, and instead, you barge into hell. You want to seize the tomb of the god of sin? This is the tomb of the god of sin. Since you've come in, you'll stay here forever. In front of him, there was a ghost with a pair of black horns on its head. Its body was hundreds of feet tall, and it was holding an axe in its hand that looked like an evil ghost. It was a ghost axe. The blade of the axe flashed with a bright cold light. Its face was extremely ferocious and terrifying. When it opened its mouth, its fangs were clearly exposed. Its eyes were shining with a cold light. Humph! I'm afraid this ghost realm can't keep me here. Di Tian glanced around and found that countless ghosts and deities were fighting fiercely. There was a tragic, murderous aura everywhere. Each of them was an eternal-level ghost god. There were also thousands of peerless ghosts and deities. It was a scene of purgatory everywhere. Moreover, he found a secret. No matter how fierce the fight here was, even if their bodies were torn to pieces, they could recover in the blink of an eye. They could not die here. Humph! You want to seize the tomb of the god of sin? Let me tell you, I'm afraid it's very difficult. Look at the ghost god peak. In front of you is the one-horned ghost ancestor. The ghost ancestor's power is enough to destroy heaven and earth. As long as you defeat the ghost ancestor, you can enter the real door of the tomb of the god of sin. The door of the tomb of the god of sin. Appear. go through the door of the god of sin and enter the tomb of the god of sin. Otherwise, you will never be able to leave. However, you will never have the chance. Take my axe, the work of the gods," the fiend god mocked with a strange voice. At the same time, as soon as his voice fell, he chopped at Di-Shirtion with the ghost axe in his hand without hesitation. The black ghost axe followed a mysterious trajectory and appeared in front of Di-Shirtion's neck at an astonishing speed. The gloomy axe light could be clearly felt on the skin of his neck. The work of the gods, cutting through space. This ghost god was a peerless ghost god. This attack was so terrifying that it could destroy everything. A kind of aura that could cut through everything and destroy all living things appeared in the act. So that's how it is. The real door of the god of sin exists in the murals. Only by coming here can you truly enter the tomb of the god of sin. If you didn't tell me, this emperor would have to spend some time to find out. However, since you've provided me with such important information, I can't go without a reward. The reward is to free you. Kill. A light flashed in Di-Shirtion's eyes as he coldly spat out a sentence. He instantly spun Tiger Soul, which had been dragged behind him, in his hands. A bright arc of light was drawn behind him. Xiao Chen moved at an inconceivable speed, but arrived first. He held his saber horizontally and appeared before Xiao Chen. Clang! Under the sharp ghost axe, the golden tiger soul blocked the blade of the axe. The overbearing emperor's true force spewed out from the tiger soul and collided violently with the ghost axe. However, within the ghost axe, there was a mighty force that could shatter heaven and earth. Following a loud noise, Di-Shirtion's entire emperor's body seemed to have suffered an unimaginable impact. His feet were firmly nailed to the ground, but his entire body was constantly pushed back by the mighty force. The ground under his feet, 2 deep cracks were forcefully pulled out. He was blasted dozens of feet away. However, Di-Shirtion wasn't injured because of this. Instead, he took advantage of the momentum of retreating to disperse all the power. Moreover, the ghost god was also blasted hundreds of feet away. Kill. Di-Shirtion's snow-white hair danced crazily behind his head like snow. He exuded an insolent aura and a cold, murderous voice came from his mouth. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1105. Those who have tickets, please help me up. A majestic fighting spirit surged in his chest. Previously, when he was ambushed by the 7 Knights Demon Emperor and Shuini outside the tomb of the god of sin, Ming was severely injured. Although he was saved in the end, his Dao foundation was damaged. Although he did not show much expression on his face, a nameless fury was still burning in his heart. Now that he had entered the mural and looked at the countless ghosts and deities around him, the fury and killing intent completely exploded. Fight! 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 A strong fighting spirit burst out of his body. At this moment there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to fight madly. Clatter! His left hand instantly grabbed the tiger soul's hilt. He held the saber with both hands. The hilt of the tiger soul was unusually long, and it was a saber that could be used with either one or both hands. Moreover, when he held the saber with both hands, the power of the tiger soul would be even stronger and more domineering. Its power would increase by a few times compared to when he was holding it with one hand, and it would be almost 10 times stronger. Roar! He quickly charged toward the ghost, and at the same time, the tiger soul in his hand slashed at the ghost with a force that could split Mount Hua. In his body, the vast emperor true force in his emperor physique, and the monstrous divine power in his body were injected into the saber at the same time. Suddenly, as the tiger's soul slashed at the saber, a domineering and shocking tiger roar sounded from the saber. The tiger's soul emitted a terrifying light, and a dazzling saber light that was thousands of feet long was drawn out. Uncanny workmanship! The ghost god's eyes widened when it saw the astonishing power erupting from the tiger's soul. However, it wasn't afraid and it let out a roar. The pitch-black ghost axe was swung out heavily. On the ghost axe, the ghost's appearance became even more ferocious and it slashed at the tiger's soul domineeringly. Bang! Once again, there was a loud explosion between the two of them. The ghost axe and the tiger's soul burst out at the same time. However, Tion did not retreat. Instead, he advanced and took a step forward in an unusually steady and domineering manner. At the same time, the tiger's soul in his hand followed the momentum of his step and slashed at the ghost's neck again. Clang! 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 Tion held his saber with both hands. Every slash was filled with the aura of supremacy of the Emperor's Tao. He held nothing back. Anyone who goes against me must die. Kill, kill until not a single one is left. Shao Chun displayed his saber intent and immediately sent it out like a torrential river. Slash after slash. His body had to take a step forward with each slash. Each slash was heavier than the previous one, and each slash was more overbearing than the previous one. The power of the Supreme God Physique, which used strength to prove the Tao, burst out from the saber. Such a domineering attack could be said to be earth-shattering. Crack! After 5 consecutive slashes, the demonic axe was instantly sent flying out of his hand. The slash directly split the demonic god into 2 halves, starting from the head. At the same time, the green pearl on the tiger's soul emitted an extremely tyrannical devouring power, instantly sucking the split body into the tiger's soul. At this moment, Tiger's Soul was already a low-grade heaven-rank demon weapon. After devouring a matchless specter god in one fell swoop, the green pearl on the tiger's soul immediately turned blood-red. Those who trespass into the ghost realm will be killed without mercy. Everyone, let's attack together and keep this demonic god in the ghost realm. It's impossible for him to get the tomb of the god of sin. If we can't get it, we can't let anyone else get it. Kill. 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 If you want to enter the tomb of the god of sin, you have to go through us first. Kill. Tear him into pieces. The saber force from the tiger's soul in Indra's hand instantly split open a huge crack in the ground. The terrifying rumbling sound instantly agitated the countless ghosts and deities in the surroundings. All of their eyes turned crimson red as they stared fixedly at Indra. After a moment of silence, they immediately let out an earth-shattering roar. Rumble! Instantly, countless ghosts and deities turned around one after another and charged towards Sakra madly. Numerous ghost Tao mystiques and Dharma books swept over like raindrop. 1,000 ghosts devouring soul, 100 ghosts banquet, 7 slaughtered demonic gods, wrath of demonic gods, 10,000 ghosts heaven's wail, soul transformation technique, soul-shattering decoction, soul-slaying stab, and so on. There were all kinds of domineering mystiques and dharma spells. Each of them could bring endless death to countless living beings. They gathered into a monstrous torrent and swept over. There was nowhere to hide. One saber breaking all techniques. Slash. Tion looked at the countless domineering mystiques that swept towards him. The snow-white hair behind his head danced crazily. The tiger's soul in his hand moved from top to bottom. It followed a strange trajectory and slashed in front of him domineeringly. Roar! The tiger's roar pierced through the clouds at an astonishing speed. From the tiger's soul, a dazzling saber light that was close to 10,000 feet long shot out. It had already reached the heaven rank and was even more terrifying and domineering. It heavily slashed on the mystiques and dharma spells. Kacha! The extreme Emperor talisman spat out endless divine power around him. In addition to the pure extreme Emperor true force in his body, the tiger's soul at this moment was truly unstoppable. When the saber slashed on the torrent, instantly, countless mystiques collapsed at an astonishing speed under the saber. They were simply unstoppable. The domineering tiger's soul broke through countless dharma spells. It was as if a raging river was split into 2 by the saber. The vast torrent was split in half and whistled towards Tion from both sides. However, it did not suffer any damage. No matter how many Dharma spells or mystiques you have, I will break them all with one saber strike. Rumble! However, following behind this torrent, countless demonic gods charged towards Tion. In the blink of an eye, countless weapons had already slashed towards him. Tion did not panic. He swung the tiger soul in his hand again and again. At an unbelievable speed, countless dazzling arcs of light were drawn around him. Moreover, when the tiger soul was swung, it was not used for defense. It was purely for offense. Every time, the demonic gods were hacked to death in the simplest way. His footwork was even more exquisite. Every step he took seemed to be unintentional, but he was able to dodge a large number of attacks in an instant. Every step and turn seemed to be filled with endless mysteries. Today, I will kill every single one of you in this ghost region. I will send all of you into the nether prison and let you suffer thousands of tortures. Then, I will refine you into the sacred spirit of lust to become the source of my power. Tion swung his saber and pierced through a demonic god who was preparing to launch a sneak attack behind him. The demonic god was cut into two on the spot. Then, he took a step to the left, turned around, and swung the tiger soul horizontally at his waist. Ah! Shrill screams rose into the sky. Hundreds of demonic gods were cut in half. Kill! 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 Tion's killing intent was thick. He swung his saber with ease. With his tyrannical combat strength, every saber strike was a killing move. However, at the same time, the peerless experts among the demonic gods also posed a great threat to him. Every move was extremely overbearing and strange as they bombarded his body. However, they were all blocked by the 10 immortal divine rings that grew out of his body. One after another, divine halos were destroyed by the bombardment, but they were quickly replaced by new ones. It seemed that the battlefield was extremely fierce and tragic. However, the terrifying thing was that the demonic gods that were hacked into pieces were restored by a strange power. In the blink of an eye, they had been restored to their original state. They could not be killed, and they could not be destroyed. In the void, dazzling saber marks tore through the void. On the ground, terrifying cracks appeared one after another, splitting the ground into terrifying abysses. The mountains kept collapsing into countless fragments. The sky fell and the earth cracked, presenting a terrible scene. Lunatic D, the tiger soul has devoured the peerless demonic god and has enough power to advance to the mid-grade heaven stage. It can't continue to devour souls. Ordinary means can't kill these demonic gods, but they are a rare supplement for nether prison. Hurry up and detain them all in nether prison. I suspect that most of them are not from Purple Gold Continent. Maybe there will be an unexpected harvest. We can't let them go. A gleam flashed in Nether's eyes, and there was a faint look of excitement. Break! Tion turned his wrist, and the tiger's soul shook. In an instant, countless afterimages were drawn out, and a dazzling saber wheel appeared around him. As it spun, the countless demonic gods around him were cut into countless pieces. Humph! I don't have time to play with you here. Today I'll help you free. Divine Eye of Heaven's punishment, open! Tion took a deep breath. The anger that had accumulated in his heart had almost been vented in this fierce battle. At the thought that the heartless demon emperor had already entered the tomb of the god of sin, he no longer hesitated. If he stayed here for too long and allowed the heartless demon emperor to get the tomb of the god of sin, that would be an unjust death. The purple-gold vertical line between his eyebrows quickly opened to both sides. A vast pressure gushed out like a tidal wave. A pair of cold purple-gold eyes appeared. Those eyes were filled with an indifferent expression. There was not the slightest trace of emotion, only endless coldness and majesty. It was indifferent to the common people. Swoosh! A beam of purple-gold divine light shot out from the divine eye. In the divine light, there was a majesty that made all living beings tremble. The divine light was abnormally deep, and it strangely emitted the Taoist rhyme of the Great Path. This divine light was not aimed at any demonic god, but directly bombarded the void. Rumble! The divine light bombarded the void, and the void trembled violently. A terrible black hole was blasted out, forming a pitch-black vortex. In the vortex it was incomparably deep, as if it was a terrible bottomless pit that wanted to swallow everything in the world. At the same time, in the vortex, a pitch-black wheel condensed out of thin air. Around the wheel, there were countless gods, demons, Buddhas, immortals, demonic gods, asuras, beasts, demons, and so on. The images of all living beings in the heavens appeared one after another. They surrounded the wheel and respectfully prayed. Demonic, Buddhist, immortal, and heavenly voices echoed. 6 pitch-black and deep holes appeared in the wheel. Inside, there was an endless devouring power that spread out like a tide. In the blink of an eye, it covered the entire mural world. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1106. A gigantic reincarnation wheel appeared in the void, spinning unceasingly. As it spun, 6 reincarnation passages appeared on the wheel, emitting a powerful devouring force. Any living being, life, and matter within the 6 paths would feel an unimaginable pressure. Human Tao, Ghost Tao, Asura Tao, Heaven Tao, all living Tao, and so on, were all included in the countless living beings in the world. Specters and gods were part of the 6 Taos. Reincarnation, the beginning of all living beings, the end of all living beings. The 6 Taos of heaven and earth are contained within the cycle of reincarnation. They circulate yin and yang and give birth to good fortune. Countless Buddhas, immortals, demons, devils, and specters appeared within the wheel of reincarnation, all of them praying to the truth of reincarnation. The 6 Taos of reincarnation? Impossible. The 6 Taos of reincarnation have always existed in the most mysterious part of the underworld. There's no way they could leave the underworld and appear here. They're controlled by Emperor Reincarnation, and we're in the god necropolis. Don't tell me this demon god has some sort of reincarnation-related divine ability? Not good. Quick, break the 6 Taos of reincarnation. If we get sucked in, we'll all die. We'll be reincarnated as ants. We can't do that. Break it. We can't enter the god necropolis, and we can't let anyone else in. Anyone who wants to enter the god necropolis will die. When the specters and gods in the murals saw the wheel of reincarnation, their faces filled with fear, as though they had seen something terrifying. But then, they began to shout. They stared madly at the wheel of reincarnation in the air. Rumble! The specters and gods knew how terrifying the 6 Taos of reincarnation were, so they didn't even need to think about it. In the blink of an eye, all sorts of powerful attacks were launched toward the wheel of reincarnation. Soul-binding chains, god-slaying needles, soul-enchanting banner, corpse transformation grand magic, soul-devouring devil art. All sorts of attacks gathered together to form numerous illusory skulls that ferociously shot through the air. Wherever they passed, the air would shatter at an astonishing speed, and a frigid aura would sweep through heaven and earth. However, the wheel of samsara spun violently. An enormous devouring force was emitted from within. The 6 paths of samsara were like bottomless pits as they emitted a pitch-black light. When the attacks arrived, the devouring power erupted violently, and countless attacks were sucked into the reincarnation tunnel out of thin air. No sound was made. All ghosts and deities of the 6 paths of reincarnation, heed my command and enter the wheel of reincarnation. Shur Tian rebuked resolutely. The huge millstone-like turntable in the air emitted a strong suction force. It enveloped all of the specter gods. No! Damn it! Break the reincarnation cycle for me. Screams of agony rang out one after another. Those ghosts and deities were like ordinary people who were touched by the tornadoes. They were swept up and dragged into the 6 reincarnation passages by the terrifying power of reincarnation. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. It was as if he had never appeared. Heavenly punishment, divine eye, reincarnation. Every time he opened his eyes, it was a reincarnation cycle. With Di Shirtian's current strength, especially the heavenly punishment divine eye, which was a part of the Supreme Emperor body itself, and was powered by the endless divine power of the Supreme Emperor body to support the infinite power that burst out of it, the power generated was even more domineering and terrifying. It was as if the power of a top-grade innate spirit treasure was completely displayed. With the power of this heaven-defying divine ability, it covered the entire space. It covered the entire mural. In this mural space, there was no way to escape or hide. It was like catching a turtle in a jar. Even those peerless ghosts and deities were constantly sucked into the 6 paths of reincarnation. Haha, good. 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 Crazy D, don't worry, I'll help you interrogate these ghosts and deities seriously. It's good that I haven't done it myself during this time. This time, I'll give them an unforgettable experience. Whether it's the experts of the Purple Gold Continent or other realms, in my infernal purgatory, I'm not afraid that they won't tell the truth. When Ming saw the heavenly punishment divine eye begin to show its power, he was overjoyed and at the same time, made a promise. Jailers, listen to my order. Detain the ghosts and deities. After Ming said that, he loudly issued an edict to the jailers in the infernal purgatory. Immediately, a large number of jailers quickly gathered in front of the plate of reincarnation in the 19th layer of the infernal purgatory. Rumble. Di Shirtian's reincarnation divine ability was derived from the infernal purgatory in the divine eye, and it was closely related to the plate of reincarnation that suppressed the infernal purgatory. The ghosts and deities that were sucked into the 6 paths of reincarnation formed by the divine ability were not reincarnated, but reversed into the infernal purgatory. The plate of reincarnation under Ming emitted countless heavenly tunes of reincarnation. Countless strange scenes flashed. 2 pitch-black reincarnation passages emerged out of thin air in the shape of twisted vortexes. Following a miserable cry, a tall figure was flung out of one of the reincarnation passages. Where am I? Why is there no light? Why can't I see anything? Is this the bottomless abyss? Why are my cultivation base and power restrained? Am I not in the divine tomb? As soon as a peak-level ghost deity rushed out of the plate of reincarnation, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. However, a purple chain quickly grew larger in his eyes. Swoosh! With a clear ringing sound, the iron chain instantly bound him and tied his neck. Then, as if he was a pug, he was yanked forward. With a clatter, he almost fell down. Welcome to the infernal purgatory. I've prepared the most wonderful punishment, the best torture tools, and the most experienced executioners for you. I believe you will like your life here. Ming looked playfully at the bound ghosts and deities, then waved his hand at the jailers and said, "Take them away." After coming out of the plate of reincarnation, all the ghosts and deities' power would be suppressed by the reincarnation restriction. They could not resist at all. One by one, they were easily captured and suppressed. At the same time, the 129,600 Supreme Emperor talismans in his body were constantly spewing vast power into the divine eye of punishment, which swept through almost everything in the mural space. The densely packed ghosts and deities were swept away in an instant, all sucked into the 6 paths of reincarnation. The world, which was full of slaughter, became quiet and cold, and the 6 paths of reincarnation in the void dissipated in the blink of an eye. What a powerful reincarnation divine ability! What a good divine eye of punishment! After staying here for so many years, I finally met an interesting tomb raider. Is he a monster? Or did he prove his Tao with strength? He has proven his Tao twice. At this time, standing at the top of the mountain that was piled up by countless bones, the indifferent eyes of the huge single-horned demon god revealed a trace of interest. He glanced at Sakra, and a strange glint flashed in his eyes as he said, "Boy, you don't need the tomb of the god of sin. You have found your Tao, and the divine tomb will only be your fetters. Back off." The single-horned ghost deity spat out these cold words, but there was an irresistible majesty in his voice. The 6 paths of reincarnation just now did not cause any harm to him. Standing on the mountain peak, it was like a natural moat. I can give up the divine tomb, but I can't let go of the things in the divine tomb and the cultivators who came in. I must enter the divine tomb. Deshurtian stepped up step by step. Although there was only nothingness below him, there seemed to be an invisible staircase that lifted him up again and again. In the blink of an eye, he was standing at the same height as the ghost deity. Interesting. Since you insist, then fine. According to the rules, as long as you can take a blow from me and not die, you are qualified to enter the divine tomb. Otherwise, you will die and remain in the divine tomb forever. The single-horned ghost deity's pitch-black hair fluttered behind his head as he spoke in an unusually calm tone. "Since I'm here, wouldn't it be a pity if I leave without seeing the divine tomb with my own eyes?" Deshurtian replied calmly. His mind was on the highest alert in an instant. He was extremely wary of the single-horned ghost deity in front of him. Although it was only a few words, the confrontation between them was no less than a battle between thousands of soldiers and horses. Every step was frightening. If there was the slightest hint of cowardice in his words, he was afraid that from then on, he would no longer have the indomitable spirit in his heart. A flaw would appear in his heart, and it would be a terrible hindrance to breaking through to the sovereign realm. Those were words to attack his heart. Very well. The single-horned ghost deity nodded slightly at Deshurtian's answer. With a flash of light, the pitch-black chain appeared in his hand, and he casually whipped it at Deshurtian. Whoosh! The end of the chain was terrifying. Countless ghost deities were entrenched in each section of the chain, forming countless mysterious runes that exuded an ancient aura. With this whip, Deshurtian felt as if millions of ferocious ghost dragons were roaring toward him at the same time. It was an unstoppable force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. However, this chain did not cause the void to collapse, nor did it distort. It was as if it was the most ordinary chain. However, under the iron chain, the entire mural space was covered by its attack. Extreme Emperor Road, Death of Gods and Demons. Bang, bang, bang. Deshurtian's snow-white hair danced wildly behind his head like snowflakes in winter. The divine light in his eyes was as sharp as a knife, piercing through the void. He took 3 domineering steps forward. With each step, a strange scene appeared beneath his feet. Mountains, rivers, stars, the sun, and the moon. All kinds of forces turned into boundless power that enveloped his body. He held the tiger soul with both hands and slashed at the chain with a domineering saber. 3,000 gods and demons rushed out of the saber, following the tiger soul. It was as if it could overturn heaven and earth. The saber shattered the chaos. Bang! The metal chain and the tiger soul collided violently. Immediately, without any hesitation, a loud boom exploded in the sky. Then, Deshurtian, who had been standing in the void, smashed into the ground like a cannonball. The earth quaked and the mountains swayed. His entire body was smashed into the ground. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1107. Crack. The chain smashed heavily into the ground. With a loud boom, the ground shook violently. Then, the ground quickly split apart, and a bottomless and terrifying crack appeared in front of them. The surroundings were filled with countless cracks that resembled spiderwebs, spreading in all directions. It was like broken glass. It looked extremely terrifying. Crash! After pulling out the chain, the single-horned demon god did not attack again. As he had said, he would only attack once. Whether the other party lived or died depended entirely on the other party's ability. With a twist of his wrist, the chain flew out again and wrapped around his body. He still stood coldly on the mountain peak, but his eyes were inexplicably staring at the crack. It was as if he was waiting for something to appear. Rumble! The ground continued to crumble, and countless rocks shot out in all directions. A pitch-black figure walked out from the ground step by step. Below him, magma gushed out, making him look like a terrifying demon god that had walked out from hell. His snow-white hair danced wildly behind him, piercing through the void. The tiger soul had returned to its scabbard, but on his right hand, purple-gold drops of emperor blood continued to drip down. Each drop of monarch blood contained the aura of a supreme being. If anyone could see at this moment, they would see that under the emperor's robe, there were terrifying cracks all over the emperor's body. Emperor blood kept flowing out of these cracks. Vaguely, one could see countless yin-chi entrenched in the wounds, slowing down the recovery of the wounds to an immeasurable degree. The single-horned demon god looked at Di Shirtian, who was standing in front of him again, and suddenly shook his head. As expected of a demon god who used strength to prove his Tao. You have the bearing of a ruler. However, it's a pity that you went against the heavens and suffered a backlash from heaven and earth. You have already damaged your Tao foundation. What's the use of heaven? Indifferently, Sakra looked at the void above his head and indifferently spat out a sentence. Heaven is made to be defied. This sentence was powerful and resonant, sonorous and forceful. He had an untamed and rebellious supreme belief that he could reverse the heavens and earth. If the heavens did not obey him, then he would dare to reverse the heavens. If the earth did not obey him, then he would shatter the earth. Well said. The heavens are meant to be defied. If you comply, you become vulgar. If you defy, you become the heavens. When the single-horned demon heard Di Shirtian's words, he did not object at all. Instead, a sliver of approval appeared in his eyes. He said, "There's something you want in the divine tomb." "What is it?" Di Shirtian's eyes shot out a ray of light. "Heaven-mending pill." The single-horned spectre calmly spat out these 3 words. "Heaven-mending pill?" Di Shirtian's heart trembled slightly. Just from the name alone, one could already feel that this pill was definitely not of an ordinary grade. It was the kind of supreme treasure that could only be chanced upon and not sought. If the body is lacking, take the heavens to make up for it. If the Tao was incomplete, the heavens would mend it. Kid, whether or not you can get it will depend on your own ability. Perhaps we'll have a chance to truly meet. The single-horned spectre looked at him meaningfully and said slowly. There was an indescribable deep meaning in his words. However, he did not explain too much. He simply waved his hand slightly to the side. Rumble! Following a loud rumble, an ancient divine gate appeared at the peak of the mountain. Countless mysterious patterns intertwined within the divine gate, forming a unique Taoist rhyme. Around the divine gate, countless deities were praying and giving their blessings. It was as though it was the gate to the heavens. Patter! Di Shirtian walked step by step toward the divine gate. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the divine gate. As long as he took a step, he would be able to enter the gate. However, in front of the gate, he paused slightly and said, "Sooner or later, I'll meet you personally. When that time comes, I'll personally return this chain to you." After he finished speaking, his entire body entered the divine gate. The gate flashed with light and he disappeared without a trace, leaving no trace behind. "I'm looking forward to that day very much." A strange light flashed in the single-horned demon god's eyes as he watched the figure disappear. He muttered playfully, "I didn't expect that there would be such a peculiar demon race existence here. Interesting. With his cultivation, age, and even potential, even in the world I live in, he would be peerless and unparalleled, far surpassing most of the younger generation. Becoming a dominator with his own strength? If he can really achieve it, I'm afraid that from now on, there will be another supreme existence in the myriad of worlds. Unfortunately, this is only a doppelganger and can't leave the divine tomb. Otherwise, I could have made a friend. The single-horned demon god muttered to himself. He paused for a moment before continuing, however. Whether or not he will have a future will depend on whether or not he has the opportunity to do so. The heaven-mending pill is a legendary divine pill, a supreme divine pill that only the saintess can refine. Ever since the saintess went missing, the heaven-mending pill has become extremely rare and can be counted on one hand. There's only one pill in each of the 9 divine tombs. If he can't get it, it'll be a headache for him to repair his Tao foundation. After he finished speaking, he didn't say anything else. He looked at the empty mural space and shook his head slightly. He gently blew a breath of air around him. A gust of chilly wind blew, and suddenly countless specters appeared again. They filled the entire mural space, and the specters started fighting again. It looked extremely tragic. Is this the real interior of the divine tomb? Sakura stepped through the divine gate and appeared in this strange area in the blink of an eye. The air was filled with an incomparably dense, eternal yuan qi. This eternal yuan qi was not only ancient and mysterious, but every strand of it was purer and more miraculous than Xiantian yuan qi. Just by taking a casual breath, he could feel the mysterious Taoist rhymes in the primordial qi that he inhaled. It could continuously deepen one's understanding of the great Tao of heaven and earth. In such a place, even peerless experts would crazily fight for it. They wouldn't leave this place for billions of years. However, this was not what surprised him. What was really strange was the scene in front of him. At a glance, this place seemed to be a vast continent that was not much different from the purple-gold continent. However, this continent appeared to be unusually desolate. There were no living creatures. Instead, there was only a thick aura of death that permeated the air. It was filled with a dense aura of depression and death. Withered ancient trees, broken divine mountains, shattered earth, cracked sky, dried-up rivers, and so on. Each scene symbolized that this place seemed to have suffered an unimaginable disaster or even a great war. The strangest thing was that there were gigantic ancient tombs erected on the continent. Each of the ancient tombs exuded an ancient aura and a mysterious Taoist rhyme. Each of them looked like the most ancient ferocious beasts that resided there. I seem to have heard of the Mad Emperor. There were some hidden rumors about the tomb of the God of Gods in the ancient times. Ming looked at the scene before him and pondered for a moment before he said, "It's said that there's a continent of gods in the tomb of the God of Gods. There are many ancient tombs on the continent. Some of them are fatal traps that can kill peerless experts. Some of them are supreme treasures that can tempt even peerless experts. However, the most important thing is that there's a coffin in one of them. It's a god's burial coffin. Contains the body of the God of Gods. Once you find it, it means that you have fate with the tomb of the God of Gods and can inherit the great Tao of the God of God. Moreover, the god's burial coffin moves every once in a while. It's extremely difficult to find." At a glance, the ancient tombs seemed to be everywhere. Moreover, the strangest thing was that every single one of them was the same. It was impossible to distinguish them clearly with the naked eye and divine sense. In such an ancient tomb, it was a matter of pure luck to find the god's burial coffin. Unless one could find the tombs one by one. I'm not that interested in the god's burial coffin. However, I'm determined to get the heaven-mend pill that the one-horned demon god mentioned. I can't let any cultivator get it. Di Shirtian scanned the ancient tombs around him and observed with the all-seeing eye. He wanted to see the mysteries within. He wanted to see if he could find any differences. "Ming, do you know anything about the heaven-mend pill?" Di Shirtian asked in a deep voice. His mind was quickly analyzing the many ancient tombs in front of him. The Heavenmend pill appeared once in ancient times. It was said that it was bestowed by one of the three rulers. That Heavenmend pill was consumed by a peak-level powerhouse whose primordial spirit had almost completely dissipated. His entire body had been torn apart, and his essence energy had been exhausted. Furthermore, he had been struck by a terrifying curse and consumed the pill. After consuming the pill, his shattered body instantly healed and his primordial spirit reformed. All the damage was completely gone. His entire body instantly recovered to its peak state. Moreover, he showed signs of stepping into the half-step sovereign realm. As long as he doesn't die on the spot, he can be saved, Ming said with a hint of yearning. That was a truly rare treasure. In the entire purple gold mainland, there was absolutely no Almighty who could refine it. Not only was there no pill recipe, but there were also some spirit essences that couldn't be found. If that's the case, the Heavenmend pill can indeed repair my damaged Tao foundation. In that case, I can't miss out on the Heavenmend pill. Di Shirtian's eyes flashed with a threatening light. He landed on an ancient tomb not far away and said coldly, 5 of the ancient tombs here have been opened. In that case, I'd like to see what kind of treasure is in these ancient tombs. Although all the ancient tombs were closed, with Sakra's insight, he could still keenly feel that 5 of the countless ancient tombs had been moved. At the very least, Almighties had already entered the ancient tombs. This time, he came here to see if he could find a treasure that could repair his damaged Tao foundation and break the power of the backlash. Secondly, he wanted to see if he could meet the Heartless Demon Emperor, Shueini, or even the 7 Knights Demon Emperor and other demon gods. The previous ambush had already aroused his strong desire to kill. If he met them in the Tomb of the Gods, he would kill them no matter how strong they were. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.